One.
You're not supposed to say that, but that's okay. Which is the center of the city of Amman. It also contains the skyport, which is the airship, or the dock for the airships that come in and out of Amman very infrequently. It's not something that happens often. And then it also contains the White Tower of the councilwoman Allura, who is one of the most well-known arcanists of the city. The castle itself is not currently the home of any royal, because 3 years ago, a red dragon named Thordak, took over this with an army of fire giants and wraiths and a number of other creatures. He basically held the city hostage for quite a while. He killed the king, and when the city was rebuilt, the king had left a commandment basically saying that after his passing, the royal line would cease to have control over the city and the council would run the city instead. So now the city is under the jurisdiction of what's called the Council of Amman.
Okay.
So you came to the city, you've been here quite a while. How old is he at this point? Like how long would you say you've been in the city? It has to be at least more than 3 years.
I was thinking about 6 to 8, probably about 6, 7 years.
Okay,
I
let's
had,
go with
he
6 years.
yeah, when he left Nocturne for the last time was after his 3 years with the Master Assassin, right after his initiation, and he came straight to Amon. He's been here for 6 years.
Okay, so 6 years has given you a lot of knowledge of the city. You're very familiar with all of the districts. You are familiar with the names and the faces. You're familiar with the politics of the city. Um, in addition to that, you're familiar with the underground of the city because you've been a member of the clasp for quite a while.
Okay.
The first 3 years, everything went really well. You started out low rank, you started to make your way up through the mid ranks. It was about that third year that you were hired to travel to the Fiendfell. The contract specified that you were to assassinate the king of the Fiendfell, um, who was um, the class had recently immigrated onto that continent, and he was fighting back against them, and they made the decision to assassinate him in favor of his son taking the throne. The son had some ties within the class and was willing to work with them.
Okay.
So this is the job that you are most famous for, although there are very, very few people within the organization that know that persona or who know that it's you.
Good.
So 3 years pass, and then Thordak. When Thordak takes over the city, the clasp unwittingly become the heroes of Amon. It is a strange turnabout, unexpected, that no one could have seen happen. The reason for this is the underground tunnels became a haven for those who were still living within the city who weren't willing to bow down to the dragon. Um, Most of the wealth of the city ended up in Thordak's lair, which was a giant crater in the Cloudtop district, um, filled with lava and fire monsters and everything deadly. Many of the
Shit.
noble houses fell during this time. Much of the city guard was decimated. Anyone who stood up to Thordak was destroyed. But then there was the clasp. They realized that without a city, a prosperous city to prey upon, they held no power.
Yeah.
So their goal was to reestablish the city and rid it of Thordak. And they worked very well to this end. However, it was the group of heroes called Vox Machina that ended up bringing Thordak down.
Okay.
It was a
What
fateful day. A huge battle ensued, and this group of adventurers was able to slay the dragon.
what was my role in all this?
You weren't involved in the battle yourself.
Hmm.
Vox Machina did request aid from the clasp and information, and you may very well have been one of the people that was involved in that. However, after the death of the dragon, Vox Machina took their share of the hoard,
Hmm.
and then much of that wealth went to the clasp.
Okay.
And you got your share. You got a good bit, and that
Probably
good
how I
bit
set up a
enabled
lot of
you.
my personas.
Yes, that bit enabled you to set up the funds to create your personas. It enabled you to purchase your amulet of non-detection, which is a rather costly item.
Cool.
And after the death of the King of Fiendfell, you also took some of that money and created your mail.
Okay.
One thing of note, very interesting to you, was during the occupation of Thordak. Well, I should start by saying that Amon is primarily a human city, about 80% of the population. And then there's mixed races, dwarves, gnomes, halflings, all of the surface races. During your time in Amon, despite the fact that you were involved with a clasp, you haven't encountered another dark elf.
Okay.
until the occupation of Thordak, when there was talk throughout the class of a female dark elf who was rising, who had joined the organization and was rising very, very quickly through the ranks. To this day, you have not met her, but you've heard that perhaps she is the new Spiral,
Okay.
of which there are three. There's no way for you to confirm this. Their identities are carefully hidden.
Okay.
However, what you do know about this dark elf is that she was very clever and manipulative. And during the reign of Thordak, she made an alliance with a group of pirates called the Dark Tempest. These pirates were former enemies of the class. They often would prey upon the class ships and set all their plans awry. However, through this dark elf female, she was able to negotiate this ceasefire with the Tempest fleet, and they were able to smuggle a lot of the citizens out of Amman to safety.
Okay.
You also know that she formed relationships with some of the, how do we say it, persona non gratas within the city that other members of the class have been told very, very strictly to avoid. One of those friends is a city guard by the name of Jacob Lannis. And if you'll give me a moment, I will show you a picture of him because you know very well who this person is.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah, he's the one that's um after Josh's character. I forgot her name.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so while he's not the highest ranking member of the Arms of Amman, which is the city guard, he is someone who is pretty much the face of the organization. He's the one who kind of is out and about the city, giving commands that come down from the higher ranks. The other
Okay.
person that you've heard rumors that she has formed an alliance with is a man named Lord Vale Aaron, who I'm sure from listening to previous sessions you are aware of, but a brief background on him. The members of the class have been told to stay away from him for two reasons. The first reason being that he is a very effective, good influence on the city. And while the class, they are underhanded and they have their dealings, again, they're very focused on the regrowth of the city. And this is a man who has given up basically all of his material possessions to build an orphanage in the upper slums and take care of the downtrodden. There's actually three reasons. The second reason is he has no wealth of which to speak, so there's really no interest in him from the class. And the third reason being is that he has a reputation of being a paladin and being able to see through lies very. The interesting thing is all of this piqued your curiosity, and feeling very daring one day, you decided to go in your persona of Sister Llewellyn and volunteer at the orphanage. And you've gotten a little bit of a read on Vale Aaron. You've never spoken to him directly, and he's never confronted you. But you know a little bit about the man, and we will say that what you know is what you have heard from listening through the session. Unless you have any specific questions. You are muted.
I'm sorry, I was just sitting there talking. Yeah, no, I have no questions about Sister Llewellyn's. I'd also like to point out that Randolphinius is dating a young lady in the employ of Lord Valerian named Ruth. So
Okay.
that's another pair of eyes on Lord Valerian that I have, but
Is that on the
not.
list that you gave me? I haven't had a chance to look through it.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's why I was reminding you because I figured you
Awesome.
didn't remember.
No, I just got it when I was on the cruise, so I haven't had a chance to look through it.
Oh, no
Yes, that
worries.
is
Yeah,
absolutely
she's
fine.
okay. She's just a serving girl, and it's explained in the profile.
Perfect. Okay, so that's pretty much all the background information that I feel is important at this time. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, the assassination attempt on Zane. That was pretty public, right?
Yes, we're not getting to that quite yet. I'm going to start
Okay.
the role play about 2 months prior to current events.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, just as far as that stuff goes, whenever we get to it, I was wondering if we'll see where roleplay goes. I'll address it when it comes.
Yeah, there will be time for that. I definitely will not leave you hanging there.
Okay.
Okay, so the current state of the city. It has been recovering since Thordak. There are a number of buildings that are still destroyed. The crater of Thordak is still present. There's an area south to the city called the oh, now it's slipping my mind. I think it's called the Scar of Thordak or something similar, which is a kind of burnt out trench where a lot of the battle happened. But other than that, the population is doing really well. The wealth has surprisingly been redistributed. A lot of the noble houses fell, and a lot of new noble houses are kind of coming in to take control. The council, about we're starting at 2 months ago, so the council at this time is doing very well. There are a lot of people within the city who aren't happy with the council. Their primary concern is that Amon has become very dependent on the mages. And if you will remember, and this is not in Will's knowledge, but it would be in William's knowledge, that the Age of Arcanum was a disaster for the continent of Taldore. It was a time in history about 800 years ago to 1,000 years ago when mages learned the arts of Arcana, and a lot of spectacular miracles were made. But everything became so dependent on magic, and there ended up being a number of wars, and it just basically devastated the continent. So there's a lot of people, a lot of muttering that this might be happening again. So that's kind of the undercurrent. But for the most part, people are wealthy, people are happy, people are getting through their everyday life. The slums are still kind of a rough place to live, but there are very few people who are going without, especially because of the charity of the Temple District and people like Lord Valerian.
Okay. Do the clasp help in the slums? Do they have like, soup kitchens and different like things to help out the area?
No, since the reign of Thorda, the clasp has kind of gone back to doing what the clasp does best. Um, However, there are rumors that the new spiraling has her hands in some of that, and that maybe she's a little more altruistic than the previous spiraling who died under mysterious circumstances.
Okay.
But no, for the most part, it's intrigue and all of the normal workings of a thief organization. Um, so this is where we're going to start. Again, we're 2 months back from present day. You, however, have had a little bit of a rough run recently. Nothing particularly bad, just nothing particularly good either. You're completing your missions, you're being noticed by the higher ups, but everything has started to feel to you like just living day to day. And you've been having a lot of flashbacks and memories that have been disturbing to you. You feel like sometimes you're losing your focus. And you're not sure exactly what's causing these sensations, but it's heavy on your mind when one of the class page boys, one of the young children that the class employs, runs up to you and delivers you a letter. And you're currently in one of the underground, it's almost like a monk cell. There's the places that the members of the class can stay underground when they're doing business within the city, and that's where you are right now.
Okay. I hand him a copper piece. Just kind of nod.
He looks down at it, chews on it a little bit, gives you a dirty look, and runs off.
So ungrateful. I look at the message, kind of sit up and sit down I'm on the bed, edge of the bed.
The letter tells you that you're to report immediately to the council chamber, which, you know, it's not actually a council chamber, but it's a room within the underground that people are often given missions. You've been there a number of times before.
Okay. I will burn the note because it's just common practice, kind of instinct. He just immediately puts it to the candle, burns the note, gets up and checks his gear to make sure that he's fully equipped, puts his Kingslayer's mantle up, and walks out the door towards the council chambers.
Okay. It takes you about 15 minutes to traverse the tunnels. People are scattering every which direction. There's a lot of hubbub going on. You hear a lot of talk about some storms that have been happening, and you remember that there's been a lot of rain recently. And they're talking about how some of the tunnels have flooded and how people are trying to repair those. And this is what you hear as you make your way to the council.
Okay.
At which point you step inside, and it is empty. And this is concerning to you, very concerning.
So the council chamber's empty. I just got a message that says that I'm supposed to be there.
Yes. In your past experiences, normally when you enter the council chamber, there's a number of people there, some of the higher ranking officials of the class who give you missions. But this time the lights are dim and there is no one about. And I'd like you to go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay. Also, right after this, I would immediately go into stealth, with my hood up. I'd go immediately into stealth to the side.
Okay. So you step to the side. Go ahead and roll your stealth.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Take your time. The whole
Okay.
point of this is just to kind of get you used to my DMing style and to give you a chance to kind of feel out the character a little bit before you come into the game. So there is no stress.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm on my phone, so I have to keep the Discord thing up, and then also do my character sheet, so my Discord doesn't get logged. There we go. There's my stealth.
Okay, so we're going to go with that first roll. It rolled twice. That's fine.
Okay.
Um, You kind of step off to the corner. You don't see anything because you've just entered the room and you're facing forward. You
Remember, I
kind
have
of step off.
advantage because of my cloak.
Very good. Okay. Um, so you step off to the side and disappear. But as you do that, you catch the sight of a figure out of the corner of your eye. Um, and just as you're noticing that person there, they pull the door closed behind
The one I just came in.
the one that you just came in. You realize that they were standing behind the door as you entered the room.
All right, I will ready. I will pull the my dagger out of my left gauntlet and pull my short sword out and kind of just take a good look at the room, looking for that person that I just saw close the door and prepare myself in case you never know.
Right. Your perception check was pretty good. So you actually do see a female figure who is now closing the door. It kind of shuts with a boom and echoes across the. And she
What
looks
is
over to you, or at least where she thinks you were, and she says, "There's no need for."
Do I recognize this woman?
You do not recognize this woman um, because she is wearing a mask.
Okay.
You do, however, recognize the mask. It is the mask of a spire.
Oh. All right. I will immediately sheathe my weapons and step out into whatever light or visibility there is and bow in deference.
So the
My
room is
apologies.
very, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go
So
ahead.
the room is very dim, and you immediately understand the reason behind it.
Okay.
It's to give her some shadows. But what you do know immediately, because of the voice, because it's feminine, is this is the new spiraling. This is the one that you have heard has suddenly taken over. And that's very obvious because the two other ones you know are male.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll me one more perception check. Very good rolls tonight.
No.
Starting out well. Um, what you see is that she is about equal height to you, about equal weight considering that she's female. And under the white mask and the black hood, you see her eyes reflecting red with dark vision.
A telltale sign of drow or dark elf.
Or elf.
Oh, okay.
However, you are clever enough to recognize in her speech just a hint of an accent that is very familiar from your childhood.
Okay. I picked all this up as I stepped into the dim light so she could see me.
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna leave my hood up, obscuring my face as well.
She steps forward a little bit, and you can see that she has some kind of portfolio in her hands. And she's quiet for a moment as she paces around the edge of the room, just kind of beyond your. You can see kind of her shadow moving. You can see that she's flipping through this portfolio, and you watch as she makes kind of a complete circle around the room, and then comes to stop in front of you again, still about 15 feet away in the dark.
You beckoned me here.
William Wolfe.
Yes. This is I.
I've been watching you for a while now. You seem capable.
I strive to do my best. It's what I was taught.
Capable, but boring. She kind of tosses the portfolio onto the table with a thud.
Boring.
Oh, we could say that you have one claim to fame, one dead king. But other than that, what have you accomplished?
Mm. In Undercommon, I'll look at her and I'll say in Undercommon, I'm more clever than I appear, Dark Elf.
She steps forward just a little bit into the light, and you can see that she's grinning. I didn't underestimate your intelligence, just your motivation.
Oh, well, I do enjoy working with very little oversight. I would understand if you would not understand or perceive my motivations from such a lofty height within the organization.
Little oversight.
Yes, I prefer freedom of movement.
I'll make you a proposition then. Instead of all of your overseers, how about you have one?
I'm listening.
How about you work for me?
Hmm. Well, you do have yet to grace me with your name. You do know so much about me.
Oh, I think you know better than that.
I had to try.
Let's say we start this on a trial basis.
Well, what's the incentive? I mean, I may be boring, but I am a professional.
Is that all you want, William Wolfe? Or do
I
you
have
want to do
desires.
something great?
I'm, I don't. I mean, uh, at this point, I'm content with my station. I do have desires. I do have goals. I do have dreams of the way things should be. But for now, I just am laying the groundwork, doing the hard thing, so that when it's time to make a change, it'll be a lot easier.
She steps forward into the light now, and she's just a couple feet from you. As she does, the kind of sheen of the red dark vision disappears, and you see her eyes, and she has beautiful violet eyes. And she looks at you and says, I think now's that time. Let's make some changes. And she pulls out a folder. She kind of just reaches behind her. You don't see where she grabs it from. It appears kind of out of thin air.
Okay.
I have a mission for you. It's not a complicated one, but from what I've read from your portfolio, one of your personas would be perfect for this infiltration.
Okay. I grabbed the folder from her, and she's handing it to me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take it from her, and I'll flip through and start reviewing the intel that she's handed me, and let her finish explaining.
Recently, a young nobleman has made his way into the city. His name is Lord Zane Blackthorn.
Blackthorn. Can I make a history check to see if I would know the noble line?
Absolutely.
Let's just keep doing this. Okay. History.
Okay. Unfortunately, the name doesn't really ring a bell. And her next words confirm it for you when she said, the Blackthorns haven't been visible in the hierarchy of Amon recently. And I'm very curious as to why. The odd thing is, this young lord has approached me, and he seems very willing to work with the clasp. I think that this might be a good ally for me, for the clasp. He seems, well, easy to manipulate.
Is he another typical noble? Sorry. Typical noble who's just out for himself and steps on the poor and the downtrodden to get it any way possible.
You would think that at first meeting him. He is certainly arrogant, egotistical. However, he surrounded himself with a group of adventurers, and they've made a little bit of a wave through the city, you could say. I'm very curious to find out what his motives are. And in order to manipulate someone, as you know, you have to have leverage.
Yes.
Did I hit the show? Did you see the picture that came up?
I wasn't looking. Okay. Blackthorn. Okay, that's sane. Okay.
So you see a sketch of him, the first page of the portfolio of him.
He looks young and cocky. Looks like a lot of the people that I've dealt with as Lord Ardent.
Exactly what I was thinking. What I do know about him is he's roughly 18 years of age. That he came to the city just about a week ago. That he surrounded himself with this group of adventurers. I'm not concerned about them right now. They seem pretty dependent upon him. He seems like the leader of their group, at least at this point.
What kind of lifestyle is the group leading right now? Do they have a home base? Are they visiting?
They've currently taken up occupation in the Laughing Llama, which is interesting
Hmm.
because that's not an inn, it's just a tavern. But apparently, they rescued the children of the woman who runs the tavern, and she's invited them to stay there.
I think I know one of the barmaids there.
That could be useful.
Okay. What is the mission? You would have me infiltrate the group? With which persona?
Not the group. What I need is information on Blackthorn himself. Something that I can use against him if things ever don't go my way. He has
Okay.
an estate about 2 days, 3 days south of the city, depending on if you go horseback or not. I think it would be a good time for Lord Ardent to go on a hunting trip. Maybe pay a visit to the Blackthorn Keep and spend a little time there.
Okay.
Of
I
course,
will,
with the Lord himself out of town, you'll be speaking with his staff. I know nothing about them, but find me any information you can. Anything is useful.
okay. I think I have some contacts that might be able to help me in that areas as well. Um, well, last but not least, what's the pay for this job? And what is the pay? What is the incentive to be your how would you put it?
My right
Right.
hand.
Right hand? Yeah.
She steps forward just a little bit closer, kind of getting in your personal space. And she's a little bit entrancing.
Okay. I stand my ground, but stare square in the eye as she looks at me.
All of the most interesting jobs and my protection.
And you want real change.
She
This
glances
council,
about. She glances about when you say that to kind of you get the sense that she's listening and making sure that no one is around.
right?
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was agreeing with you. Sorry, I was
You're asking
entranced.
her about something about the council.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that the uh the council is corrupt. It has to go. We need a king again.
You and I see eye to eye. I don't necessarily think that a monarchy is the answer. However, there are undercurrents in this city of which people are unaware. Too many things that could bring it to the ground. That was proven during the occupation of Thordak. If
Yes.
we are to thrive, the city has to thrive, and that's my goal. It's not a popular opinion, I will warn you, and you may not make very many friends working for me.
I don't have any friends now.
And that's a shame.
Yeah. You should know better than anyone in this business. Friends are the first ones to betray you.
Not if you betray them first.
Well, I really hope we don't have to worry about that in this relationship. I'm not looking for, you know, your title, your position. I don't want to see any more orphans or kids grow up the way I did.
When you say you don't want her position, she laughs and replies, "Trust me, you don't want this."
I can imagine. Bureaucracy's never been my forte, though politics is a fun game.
It can be. And it's not exactly my first choice, however. Sometimes you have to step up and take the reins.
Okay, well then I sense you're serious about this, so I say that we make a pact and in blood like the old days. And I'll pull out my dagger and take a slice down my right palm and hold my hand out.
She hesitates for a moment and then she pulls off her glove. And you see the telltale blue skin, just confirming all of your
Yeah.
suspicions.
Now, for the record, my natural skin is a tad shade lighter because of the high elf. I am able to pass as another elf, but you can look in the details of my eyes and the color of my eyes that I have the dark elf blood. So
Just for the sake of this, I'm going to. Where do we have William's picture somewhere?
it's on. Oh, I changed it, didn't I? Yeah, it is in
Yeah,
my story under your Discord that says essay. Or I can send you a new one if you'd like.
that's
Actually, I can
okay.
just
I
send.
was just going to do it for the sake of anyone who might watch this later, but we don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
Because the one that you have is posted as one of your personas.
Yeah.
Okay. She reaches out her hand.
Okay. I grab it.
And she allows you to slice it open and she grabs your hand. She's got a really firm grip.
Okay. With my left hand, I will. This was all right. We'll see if this will be fun. With my left hand, I'd like to sleight of hand the somatic components for prestidigitation, making our hands kind of like a shadowy, like shadows black like shadows wreathe around it, kind of forming a pact. Just for story. See if she sees,
You have a flair for the dramatic. Why am I not surprised?
Well, I am the Kingslayer. And I'll nod to her and I'll walk away with the intel and plans already being made.
So you step out of the door and you hear her like sliding it shut behind you, but just before it closes, she says, "Make your own luck, half pint." And it slams shut.
Cool. Well, I will immediately go back to my room and
Hang
gather
on.
my. Okay.
Did you recognize what she said?
Half pint?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't tell me I missed something.
You did.
Oh, smack me.
So you might have missed it, but your character would not have.
Okay. Half pint, half pint.
It was a discussion that we had about your time in the city of Nocturne
Uh
as an orphan.
huh. Wait a minute. Who called me half pint?
There was a female who came into the orphanage shortly after you did. She was old and she was your idol because she was tough and strong.
Okay.
And she, unlike most of the children there, she stood up to the elders and she fought and she was like a,
Okay.
and she
And
had a little bit of an attachment to you. I mean, you were young, a little boy, um, but she found you quite endearing. And she always called you half pint because you were tiny and because you were mixed race.
wait, was she a dark elf?
She was.
And so this memory surfaces in Wolf's head as she shuts the door, and he just stands there,
And
kind of
you
cocks his head.
also, the day that she disappeared, she left you an item. And I think I told you that you could decide what it was. It's just some kind of trinket, but you are still carrying that on you to this.
Okay.
And you remember her as the name Lorna.
Lorna. Okay. I need to write this down. And it's the trinket will have it be a little like scarf that's wrapped around the hilt of my short sword that kind of hangs off.
Sounds good.
Lord. So I'll look down at my short sword and I'll look back up at the door. I think that's a good place to fade to black.
It is. So tell me how you are going to spend the next part of your day or two planning this infiltration.
Okay. So my first order of business, what time of day was it when I met with the mysterious dark elf?
Early morning.
All right, I would go back to my room, gather my things, uh, my bags and stuff, and I would head to the upper city and out from underground in the tunnels into Immon proper, and head towards Sir Godfrey's estate, one of my
Okay.
connections through Lord Ardent.
Okay. So he lives in the Cloud Top district. And what are
Did
you
you
going to do?
did you read about Lord or Sir Godfrey?
I'm assuming he's one of the people on your contact list. I
Yeah,
know
let
you
me tell you,
mentioned.
it's because you will. This is one of those things you need to know. Um, Lord Godfrey is
He's the one who found out about you and then ended up
yes,
working with you. Okay. I did read
yeah,
that.
When he first was assigned to Amon, Godfrey used to be in textiles, but his business was sabotaged and he was disgraced. Sir Godfrey discovered an early persona of Wolf's to be false and confronted Wolf. After a short scuffle in words, they found common ground and became friends. He is in business with Lord Ardent, helps legitimize his cover. He knows his true identity, but none of his other personas. Yeah, he's a disgraced noble, retired infantry commander, and he's one of Lord Ardent's business partners. He's going to him because he's old money. He's like old school nobility, and he would know about hunting grounds near where property is to check out, use the tip that his superior gave him. He's no fool. He knows that when given help to take it, especially in this organization.
Okay. So, a question for you,
Mm-hmm.
and Wolf would know this. Access to the Cloud Top district is restricted
Okay.
for anyone with business or with a writ of nobility. So, how exactly is he heading to the Cloud Top?
Well, I could go to um I could first head to the inn, my safe house. Remember that the inn where the owner I basically blackmailing him because I helped cover up his son's just like murder of somebody else. It's a place that I just have a room and I eat for and drink for free. Um, I'll go there and switch into Lord Ardent disguise, and he has forged nobility. He has the papers that he needs to get into the Cloud Top district. I could also go as Randolphinius if I wanted, but I'm going to meet Lord Ardent or go to meet Sir Godfrey, and he's known to associate with Lord Ardent.
Okay, give me just one moment if you would.
Okay.
So you make your way early morning to the Cloud Top district. You're dressed in the persona of Lord Ardent. Excuse
Okay.
me, Lord Ardent. And you have no trouble getting into the district. They do look over your paperwork a little more than usual because he's not someone who is frequent to the city. But in the end, you're able to pass through. Uh, it's early morning. It has rained overnight. You remember hearing the talk about the rain in the tunnels and how it's kind of been overwhelming the city. There's a little bit of mist that's kind of spreading along the ground as the sun is rising and heating all of the water that's puddled around you, kind of evaporating. And the air is a little bit stifling. It is late spring at this point.
Okay.
You head over to Lord Godfrey's estate.
I will enter in through the servant's entrance and go straight to the kitchen and make myself a plate.
Just walking in and helping yourself. Is that the kind
Pretty
of
much, yeah.
relationship you have with him?
Yes, that's the way. Well, that's what I pictured. He's like a friend, like one of his only true, real friends. He wouldn't admit that to a superior. He doesn't want to, you know, jeopardize anyone's safety that because they're friends with him. You know.
Exactly. Okay. So as you're kind of fumbling around in the kitchen, grabbing the components of your, you hear the kitchen door slam open, and Lord Godfrey enters.
Are there servants near and in with us?
There are a couple, yes. Did you
Okay.
see that pop up, by the way?
Uh, nope. I'm keeping it on my character sheet in case I need to roll. All right. Oh, okay. I like that picture. That picture works too. I like them. Cool. All right. So, since there's servants present, I will use Lord Ardent's accent until we're alone, and I can be myself.
He sees you and gives a chuckle. Just help yourself as always.
Mm. Das ist ein neues, yes. I grab some meat and some stuff. So, how is Sir Godfrey today? Is he good?
I am well.
It has
He
been a
turns
while since I've seen you.
he turns to the servant. Lydia, there is a bit of a mess over in the stables. Would you please take care of that? She looks between the two of you, sets down what she was doing, and rushes off.
So we're alone now.
You are. He sits down on the table and raises one of his eyebrows.
Hello, good friend. It's good to see you.
And you?
Yeah, I know it's been a while, but I've had to lay low after the last job that we pulled. I'm glad we got to sell all that merchandise, though.
I am reaping the benefits. And he puts one of his hands down on the table. You see he has a couple new gold rings.
You're such a showman. Listen, I need your help with a mission. It's kind of important, actually. Um, Actually, it might be really important. This might mean my head or not type mission. What do you know about hunting and hunting grounds?
Huh, I haven't been on a horse since the war.
Mm. I need to set up a hunting trip near an estate. I don't know if you've heard of a certain noble line that I guess has been out of the limelight for some time. Have you ever heard of the Blackthorn family?
He sits back in the chair, crosses his legs, and starts to rub his beard. I remember years ago there was a beautiful courtesan by the name of Morgana Blackthorn.
Courtesan of the king, of the former king?
Courtesan, as in one of the ladies of the court. Not
Oh,
quite the way you're taking.
well, my bad. Well, well, I need to infiltrate the estate. There's some information I need to gather, and I'm considering ways of approaching this. One of my superiors suggested a hunting trip nearby, and I'll explain to him the general area and see if he knows anything about the land there.
I've traveled that way myself. It's quite a lush place. It's just on the border of the Osmond Sea. If I remember right, there's a small port as well. There's
Small port.
any number of like a fishing port. And most boats don't
Hmm.
stop there. There's no point when they could just as quickly make their way to Amman. But there is probably a number of game. There's some forests, elk, boar.
I'm not too concerned with the actual hunting, Godfrey. I just need an excuse to be in the area, and then you never know. There's eyes everywhere.
Well, as long as you are keeping your cover, you might as well restock my coffers. And he looks at the food that you're eating.
I'll look down at the food, look back at him, just shake my head, continue eating. Yeah, I always come to you with the most lucrative jobs, and I keep them legal, and just like you asked. Well, I keep your side of it legal.
So what is it you're looking for?
I don't know, Godfrey. I'm kind of just everything's just running together lately.
Still
Everything
having those
just
dreams?
yeah. I don't know. I keep seeing the burnt out faces of my mother and father. I don't know why I remember that, but I keep seeing pictures of times when I was in that awful orphanage. I don't know. It's messing with me, man, and I've got to focus. This is a really important mission that I'm being sent on, and if I don't do well, no matter how much good I've done, it'll all be for naught.
Well, seeing as you're not an actual noble, you may not be aware that there is sort of a condition among nobility that if one noble passes through the lands of another, it's expected that they're given housing and lodging.
Hmm. Interesting. And how often do the nobility stick to this tradition?
I wouldn't say it's frequent, but any noble on a long journey will prepare their route as to be able to enjoy the hospitality of other nobles as opposed to staying at an inn or a tavern. That's why you don't see much nobility rubbing elbows with the serfs.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I mean, serfs are what make them money, make them noble. I don't know. You'd think there'd be an oath that they have to take in order to look after the people underneath their domains, you know? But anyways, I'm getting off topic. You said there's a shipping port near there, correct?
There is.
Hmm. Well, and I'll look at him slyly. I'll say, what do you think about maybe taking a hunting trip with me, sir? We can even stop in at the shipping port and see if we can get some work for our noble ship, the Wayward Derelict. And I'll kind of nudge him, inside joke about my fake ship that I have the deed for that I used for cons.
My dear friend. And then he's smiling, and then his face just goes blank. That sounds miserable.
Oh, what can I do? I I'll go to one of those detestable balls that you keep trying to force me to come to.
You're the one missing out. You should see the women.
I'm just too busy for women. Plus, you know that I have my woman.
Hmm. I'll believe it when I see her.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
she's an
wonder if she's a figment of your
she's an
imagination.
exotic beauty. She's the son of a merchant, or the daughter of a merchant. What about son of a merchant? She's the daughter of a merchant.
He starts very obviously looking over his fingernails like he's bored.
Well, is there any way I can talk you into accompanying me? Give me some legitimacy to my noble request. I'll do all the work. All you have to do is come. I'll make sure every preparation's taken care of. Your tent. We'll actually go hunting. You know, we'll get something nice to bring home, hang on the wall, impress your ladies at these balls that you're gonna drag me to.
I'll
Come on, and I'll nudge him
tell
as he's
you
eating
what,
his food.
I'll send a letter ahead and let them know you're coming. He stands and he pats his belly, which has grown rather large over the last couple years. I like my life,
Oh,
William.
I'm gonna need to get an entourage together. This is gonna be so much work. Okay.
No, I don't think you would need to do that.
Don't you guys always travel with an entourage? That's how I've been and going anywhere that I have to go with Lord Ardent. Makes things much easier.
He shrugs.
It's not
Perhaps
cheap
you
though.
needed a little break from a lady. Make up a reason. You're a good liar.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do appreciate the letter being sent ahead of me. I won't waste any more of your time. I have some other things to take care of, anyways. And I'm finished. I'll take a piece of bread and get the last of the whatever I was eating up off the plate, and then go set it into wherever the servants were.
He kind of follows you there. He reaches out his hand to shake your.
I'll shake it, and I'll look at him and say, "Sir, Sir Godfrey, I appreciate the hospitality and fine cuisine. You have a good day, yes."
Next time, bring the dogs. And he kind of shakes your hand.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I will. I will. Must remember. Bring dogs next time. Okay. And I'll leave, heading towards my next destination.
He calls out after you. Don't forget to take the dogs when you go hunting.
All right. So I will go. Ooh. I will go and do some research. I'd like to look for hunting grounds close by to the area that I need to go to. That would cause me to have to travel through their land.
Okay. Give me just a moment. So I am about to pop up a handout here for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it very well. You might need to click on it, which I don't know if you'll be able to do on your phone.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I can see it.
Okay, so the city that you're at is Amman. It's all the way on the left, and it's about midway down the continent. You'll see a little pink banner that says
Mm-hmm.
Amman, and it's probably hard to see on the sides that you're going to be looking at. But just a little ways down from that, if you follow the coast downwards, there is kind of like an inlet that turns into a river that splits. Can you see that?
And then it turns into a river that splits. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the Blackthorn estate, through your research, you find is actually right at that spot where the river splits. Quite a bit of the area around that is the Blackthorn lands. There's almost
Mm-hmm.
900 acres, so it's pretty expansive. But there are, and it's mostly grasslands. There's a little bit of a mountain region where there, again, during your research, you know that there's some gem mines there. Um,
Okay.
it's mostly grasslands, but there are a couple like kind of copes of woods where you might be able to say that you've been hunting.
Okay. We could also actually I could say that I'm traveling on farther south into the mountains. I can say I'm going hunting anywhere. It's
Yes, you
just the
can.
fact that I'm traveling through there, and a friend of Lord Ardent's knew of a family, and sent forward a letter of introduction, so to speak, since Godfrey's family is old money known.
Yes, and you know that he will do a very good job of this. He has never let you down in the past.
Okay, and I will also hire a manservant to accompany me, and that means that I will be in Lord Ardent role most of the time, actually, because of that.
Are you going to hire an actual manservant or are you going to bring someone from the clasp?
I'd like to bring. I'll
There
bring.
are, there are manservants at your actual estate that you could call upon.
Over at Lord Ardent's estate. Yeah, yeah. I would.
They
I'll bring
are
one of the low level um initiates.
like a stable boy.
Kind of. Well, I'm thinking more along the line of a clasp initiate, someone
Okay.
who's training to become part of the clasp.
Right.
And
So anyone at the Arden Estate is going to have a clasp affiliation.
right. So I'll just find a dependable one that is known for like playing this role of manservant. Since I'm into the spy game, I probably would know which one of the young men would do the best.
Okay, so you recall a young human man, probably about 15 or 16 years old, named Deck. He's not exactly the most capable thief or rogue,
Right.
but he's reliable and he has been working at the estate as one of your hound keepers.
And he'll listen to me, no questions asked. That's the most important.
Yeah. So
All
you
right.
can send for him. Just be aware it's going to take him about a day to get to you.
Oh, from the estate.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. He'll spend that day preparing for the trip anyways.
Okay. You don't
And by
have
the
to go
time that
in.
Decker gets there, that's when they'll leave. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but I am going to ask, is there anything in particular that you are going to do to prepare?
Okay. I will using I don't know who would be better. I'd like to get into the archives somehow and see if I can access any information about the Blackthorns.
Okay. Um, you don't have to sneakily access it
Okay.
with your noble status. Actually, anyone in the city has access to the Alabaster Lyceum, which is the college that is located in the Erudite Quarter, which is down here.
Okay.
Um, it is kind of a haughty place. The first few levels of the Lyceum is a large library. This is where mages are trained, where wizards are trained, arcanists, and it's a large building tower that the upper floors are all occupied by wizards and wizarding students. However, the library is open to the public. There is a section that's blocked off where only people with special access can go, but you don't think that the information you're looking for is located there. So you make your way to the library, and if you'll give me one moment, we're going to see how this works for you on your phone.
Okay. It seems to be going pretty well so far.
It's probably easier for me to bring the map to you. Give me a moment. And this is something I do. I don't know if you've encountered DMs who do this before, but if I'm anticipating that there's an area that you're going to go to, I won't necessarily have a map for it, but I am going to have some imagery. If you throw me off like Lord Godfrey's estate, I wasn't prepared for that.
No worries.
But
You were really good on your feet. I'm glad you. It was fun to watch that.
okay, so this is the Alabaster Lyceum. Are you
Okay.
seeing it?
Yes, I am with the globes.
Okay, so it doesn't take you long to cross the city, go there. There's a couple men at the entrance who are in long gray robes. They ask you for your name and they do require for you to sign in. They don't ask for any kind of
Okay.
noble paperwork or anything. And they tell you that the rules of the Lyceum are that you are welcome to peruse any books while you are there. There is no eating or drinking, and you have to stay quiet. But books cannot be taken out of the library. And if there's any suspicion, they will search you on the way out.
Cool. Can you copy things down from that you find in books though?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Cool. I can
So,
follow all those rules really easily.
so they allow you into the Lyceum, and I would like you to make a investigation check.
Okay. Let me see. Investigation. I have no. Did it go? No. Here you go. Oops.
Okay, it's okay. Um, so you're able to find some information. Unfortunately, it takes you some time, just because of the low roll. We're going to say that the negative aspect of that is you spend a lot of time looking for this. It's almost 4 hours that you spend looking through books on noble house when eventually you find a small reference to the Blackthorn family. And what you know is it is a long lineage. The family has been in existence for a very long time. And it was about 100 years ago that they were kind of at their peak and most powerful. And looking through the names down to the current generation, you do find the familiar name of Morgana Blackthorn, who is the one that Godfried mentioned, the beautiful courtier. And I shouldn't have said courtesan, I should have said courtier, who spent some time in Amman at the castle back when their monarchy was still in place. And then you do see under her name the name Zane Blackthorn, but there is no male father associated with him. Like you're looking through the lineage, and you know how the family flow charts go, like father,
Mm-hmm.
mother, then the little arrows. So it's just her, and then one line comes out, and then it's him. There's no information about the father.
Intriguing. I note that because this is the target that I had in the first place.
The
The
other
Zane.
thing, yes, the other thing that you note is that the family, like I said, they kind of not really fell from grace. There's no information on why they are no longer in the noble circle of Amon. But the family is highly invested in their lands. They are um, part of the timber industry, and they do gem mining, and then they have some agricultural work as well.
Do they? Does it have access to the um house seal shield? You know what I'm talking about? The house, like the emblem,
Yes, you would
Blackthorn
see
emblem.
that. Unfortunately, without Brett here to tell me what it is, I can't tell you, but
Okay,
you do
no,
see what it is.
that's fine. I just whatever it is, I don't need to know what it is. Whatever it is, though, I'm going to make an exact copy, draw it. So I have a reason.
Okay. In order to draw, if you're trying to draw an exact copy, I'm either going to need you to make a check with calligraphy tools if you have those,
I
or
have
you
a
can make a
forge. I'm
straight.
I'm a forger. I have proficiency in forging kit.
Okay, then use that.
Okay. The reason I'm doing this is oh, I have to, dang it. What is a forgery kit? Let's see.
It's going to be the bottom left of your character sheet.
It's I didn't put it in there. Kit lets you add your proficiency bonus to any ability checks you make to create a physical
So I
forgery.
believe
All right.
with
So what
forgery,
ability
it's going to
check?
be your agility plus 3 for the proficiency. So
So it'd be
1d20 plus your
dexterity.
agility, or dexterity, excuse me, yes, plus 3. So what's your
I'm
dex
sorry.
modifier?
3.
Okay, so 1d20 plus 6.
Okay. I'm rolling it.
Take your time. We are all good.
Cool. It would be a lot easier on my computer. So there you go. 9.
You have a lot of trouble copying the seal. It's pretty intricate. The other option I will give you is if you would like to take another hour of time, you
Mhm.
are welcome to make one more attempt.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to. I'm gonna spend the night here, and once I do get another, like I'll spend the hour to make another attempt. Um, I'd like to just if I'm received well, I'm gonna go have something made as a gift per se. Like like they're hosting me as I come through. Oh, I've brought something as a gift, and it's got their family seal, and it looks thoughtful
Clever.
because yeah.
I like it. Okay, go ahead and make another attempt.
I'm just gonna roll an acrobatics. It's the same
Okay.
modifier.
Okay, so we're going with that first
Jesus
roll, which
Christ.
is very good.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, so you're able to copy it. You're not sure if it's exactly right. You don't see anything that's wrong, but you're pretty confident with your result.
Okay.
Okay, so
There's
where are
no other
you?
information about Zaid's father or parentage or anything about Morgana Blackthorn.
Nothing.
Okay.
You have
I'll
found
keep that noted.
what you found.
Those are things that I am before before I infiltrate the group. These are things that I'm going to try to find out. Not before I infiltrate his estate or the family estate. Just so you know.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I might have missed what you said. What were you trying to point out?
Well, I said I'm going to be and try before I infiltrate the group. I'm going to be trying to find information on Morgana Blackthorn and Zane's father. Why? Because there's not one on the list, and he just wants to know. Maybe it's another noble line. Maybe there's a scandal there. You know,
Okay.
my superior wants me to find dirt. There's no father. Who knows? Who knows who his father is? That could be really good dirt.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that plays out. So are you making your way to where are you going? You said you wanted to create a gift?
Yeah, we'll go to a. Let's go to a tailor.
Okay.
No, a leather worker. Yeah, and I will have a. What's an appropriate gift? Can I get a leather bandolier with the house symbol, like where the chest would be? I don't know. Who's the current lord? Would I know that? The current like hosting who's is it a lady or a lord?
So
Because
that is actually something that you don't know. You don't know the current status of the family. Of course, you know that Zane is alive and well because he's had interactions with the spiraling you spoke. You don't
okay.
know anything about his mother. She did tell you, however, which is a little bit of a hint, that since the Lord was out, you would be dealing with his staff.
Oh, so I wouldn't even be dealing with any of the nobles.
You can make that assumption, but
Okay.
that's just what she said.
And she said his staff,
Yes,
and then she was referencing Zane.
she was.
Okay, is Zane the lord of the house?
Again, assumption.
My apologies on the coughing.
It's okay.
Um, all right, that changes things. So I'm going to take the educated guess and assumption through my perceptiveness and the information I've gathered so far, and assume that Lord Zane is the Lord of Blackthorn Estate or whatever it's called. Um, I will make a secondary cautionary action and assume that maybe his mother is still alive and that I might be dealing with, her. So I will go find a person who can make like one of those old fans that noble ladies have, and find a real pretty one and buy one and for like real elegant and maybe gilded with like gold or something, ridiculous and extravagant. And then I will have a a sword sheath that's like a bandolier with the blackthorn emblem on on the chest for the lord of the house.
Interesting. Okay. Um, so you have no trouble going to a leather worker, finding a bandolier that has already made and asking for them to inscribe it. They tell you that won't take very long. They ask you to come back in about 2 hours.
Okay.
And they give you a price. Let's see, a leather bandolier. They give you a price of 10 gold pieces.
Okay, I'll give them 15. They're just
Okay.
workers, right? They're just tradesmen.
Yes.
I'll give them 15 to speed it up, and just because I like to take care of craftsmen, I appreciate their usefulness, and I feel like they're not appreciated enough. It's like
They seem
he's a
very
tipper.
pleased with this. Yeah, they seem very pleased with this. And they ask you again what your name is.
Lord Art. I am in the merchant business myself. Here's my information. Contact my man here. Uh, your goods are good. Maybe I could open up some trade opportunities in the local lands.
They kind of like start whispering to each other, and then they nod at you.
I'm always networking as Lord Ardent. He's a merchant. Like that's how I'm trying to get his name as a merchant, as a shipping merchant. All right,
Okay.
so I'll go do
However,
those. All right.
the fan you find to be a little more difficult.
Okay.
You kind of make your way through a couple of different little shops, and everything is kind of cheap, like for a real like noble lady fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to step it up a little bit. Um, so the question is you're thinking
I
about
don't.
it? What?
I have an idea. Inspiration hit me.
Well, there's two places that you might go. You might actually go like towards the castle and see about purchasing something from an actual noblewoman. The other thing that you could do is you could visit Gilmore's Glorious Goods, which is a magic shop within the city, but you know that it's also kind of a bastion for some kind of rather what's the word,
We
over
aren't
the
supposed
top
to associate with Gilmore.
fashion. Now, you're not supposed to, I won't say associate with Gilmore. What you remember is that the um the shop itself is very heavily protected, and anyone from the class who has attempted to get into the Gilmore's Glorious Goods through subterfuge has either lost a limb, an eye, or has not come back. However,
Can
it's daylight, it's open, and you can certainly walk in the front door. That is up to you.
is there like a bazaar here?
There is, in the promenade.
All right, I have the perfect idea. All right, this comes from my list of contacts that you haven't had a chance to look at. There is a character that I thought you would like a lot that I created. It is Wolf's current love interest. I might have to change her name after listening to some of the old um sessions. I was gonna name her Nina, but there's a Mina.
Yeah,
That's
you
just too
don't want to.
close.
Yeah.
So I'll let you rename her. But if the last name will work because she you got to look at these two characters real quick because this is who I'm gonna go visit.
Okay. It's a little hard for me to do that right now, but I'm
Okay.
just gonna go with it. So,
You can't open it on Discord. Okay. Let's see. Soren, Caleb Soren he's a retired master assassin for the clasp. He's the guy who trained me. He retired from the clasp as an assassin and now works as a merchant that he takes goods from the surface to Nocturne and back, trying to keep trade open between Nocturne and the surface races. He's a uh, he's a black gentleman with like dreads, older.
okay.
He he trained me, and he trained at the same time. He trained his daughter, whatever you want to name her, Soren. So we trained together for 3 years. We fell in love, and we have a relationship. But she understands that his work is the most important thing to him. So it's one of those loose relationships, like
Now, is she aware of who William is?
yes,
Like, does she know William?
yeah, she is she is her father's second command, and she's a skilled merchant and assassin because her father trained her, but she's a merchant, and but she can take care of herself. Sometimes Wolf will bring her along on missions if he needs backup. But for the most part, she deals with her father's business. So
Okay.
he's gonna go see her, visit with her, and also look for an exotic item from Nocturne to bring to the Blackthorns.
Okay. So you're welcome to do this. I will tell you that I'm not always going to let you use your contacts
Okay.
as resource, because there are times that I want you to explore the city and have to make
Okay.
decisions. You know what I mean? Um, However, at this point, it doesn't really matter where you get this from. So I will allow it.
I was
And
just trying to include her into the pregame so that she's a
sure,
character
absolutely. I
somehow.
am gonna shorten the role play of it a little bit because I don't want this to go too long. So I'm
Understandable.
not gonna actually role play her, but we're gonna do this mission style, which I
Okay.
said that the other day and it just sounded completely wrong. I'm gonna have to think of another way to to phrase that. But let's go ahead and have you make a persuasion roll to convince her to give you something out of her merchant caravan or whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Um, she offers you a number of items. I'm going to let you decide what it is that you pick out.
It's irrelevant. It's story purpose.
Okay, well,
Um,
let's go ahead and stick with the fan. So
okay.
you're gonna get an exotic fan,
Mhm.
and you do know that if you decide to have it crafted in a way that it has the symbol on it, again, you could go to the magic shop and have them magic that symbol onto it. But if not, then you're welcome to take
No,
it
I
as
wasn't
it is.
looking for a symbol. Yeah, no, just
Okay.
on the leather bandolier for the Lord Zane Blackwater or Blackthorn.
Okay. So you were able to get that. I'm gonna charge you for that 2 gold.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else that you're going to be doing today?
Nope,
Um,
he's just going to prepare for the evening mentally, probably stay with his woman overnight and then meet up with the manservant and head out and then in the morning whenever he arrives.
okay. So morning arrives. You end up making your way back to the um, underground tunnels of the clasp, knowing that he's going to be that Decker is going to be expecting to meet you there.
Okay.
And again, this is someone that I pulled off the top of my head, so I don't have a character sheet prepared. We will
No
have a
worries.
picture for him next time.
Yeah, no worries. It's a good story.
Okay. So Decker has brought with him 3 of your hunting dogs and
Okay.
2 horses.
And I will mount up and make my way. Get to know Decker a little bit, professionally between one spy to an initiate, someone who's I'm like a vet. I'm kind of a veteran, and so I treat him as such, with deference, but not like too chummy. And I
Okay.
explain in detail what I expect from him and what his role will be while we're visiting as my manservant, to be quiet, seen, and not heard, you know?
He's excited at the prospect of being on this amazingly dangerous mission as he sees it compared to what he has been doing all along. So he's very happy to be going along with you and is agreeable to all of your terms and conditions.
Cool. I will feed that enthusiasm and I will treat him with kindness to ensure trust because he's young and I can see that that's how he can be, not manipulated per se, but brought to heel, kind of.
Okay, so it's early morning when you guys leave. You know that depending on the pace that you take, it's going to take you somewhere between 2 to 3 days to reach the Blackthorn estate. The good news is it's pretty much a straight shot. You can leave out through the lower slums and go southwards, following the road directly to the Blackthorn Keep. It's not a hard way of travel. There's not a lot of mountains or anything. It's all fields and forests and a very nicely well paved road. The only place that you have any trouble is going through that I refer to it as the scar. Um, earlier in our session, I mentioned it to you. It's an area where there was quite a bit of battle that occurred during the defeat of Thordak. And as you pass through it, it's a reminder of everything that the city has gone through. It's about 3.5 hours south of the city when you encounter it, and it's just like a charred kind of groove in the grounds that stretches about a mile across. That still kind of smokes even to this day.
Okay.
The horses and dogs don't seem to like it very well. It smells a little sulfuric. But
All
you were
right. I'd
able,
keep him calm and keep moving.
okay. Normally I would make you do an animal handling check, but your friend Decker is very skilled with the horses and with the hounds,
Okay.
because that's what his job actually is. So he's able to get you guys through that just.
Awesome. I'm glad I brought him.
It's evening when the sky above you starts to turn very, very dark. It's early evening though. It's odd. And the wind starts to blow, and the two of you discussing this start to feel a little concerned about the weather and whether or not you want to continue on or find shelter.
Okay. What's the country like side like that we're in right now, and how far away do we estimate we are from the Blackthorn estate?
So you're still on your first day's journey. You think you have at least another day, maybe day and a half before you reach there. Looking around, go ahead and make a there's two things you can do at this point. You can make a nature check to examine the storm, and you can make a perception check to look around and see what you might be able to do.
I'm more observant than I am aware of nature and stuff, so I'll take a perception check.
Okay.
I like
It's
that.
not that hard. It's kind of a clear early spring day. You're able to see miles into the distance from where you are because of the flat nature of the lake. Um, you can't see any farmsteads from where you are, but you do notice what looks like a run-in shed, which is a three-sided shed that is often put out in fields to give livestock cover during storms.
Okay. Are there any livestock in the area?
You see a couple sheep walking around.
All right, so there's a shed and some sheep, so that means that there's most likely a shepherd and there's most likely a dwelling nearby.
There is, but you can't see it from this point. And you know that some of these farms are acres upon acres. If you'd like to take the time to look, you can, but
Right.
I will remind you that there's a storm coming.
Okay. I will. See, we got 3 dogs, 2 horses, and me and Decker. And how big are these three-sided shelters?
It looks pretty big enough for a herd of sheep.
Okay. Well, I'll look at Deckard and kind of nod over towards it, and I say, "It looks like we need to batten down the hatches. It looks like it might be a bad storm. I don't know. I don't travel outside of the city very much."
He does not disagree with you. He is following your lead. So it's about 4 p.m. And I won't tell you how you feel, but perhaps that's a little frustrating that you've had to call it a little short.
Yeah,
Um,
better safe than
but the
sorry,
two of
though.
you kind of hunker down under this run and shed. You're able to kind of hitch up the horses, and the dogs are well trained, so you know that they will stay with you. And I will
We've brought
mention
food
that
for him and stuff.
right, Decker has planned all of that. I will mention in particular that these ardent hounds are they're large, kind of Doberman looking dogs. Um, and they're very well trained. So you have no concerns about handling them. And they will actually guard through the night as well. If the two of you would like to get some sleep, you know that they will keep an eye out.
And
But that is up to you.
they're trained for to listen to me as well, correct, Lord Ardent?
Yes, absolutely. You yourself don't actually have the skills to handle them, but you've
Right.
been taught some of the basic commands that will allow you like to play off that you're the one who's trained them.
Right. Well, because when I sell them, especially whenever I'm selling in the local area, I have to sell them, you know. Now I
Not
have the trainer there
necessarily.
with me.
You have people who do that for you. The
That's
only
true.
time
That's a
that
show of
you have to
power, right?
show them off, yeah, the only time that you have to show them off is when other nobles drop in.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like when I have another noble like that is try wants to check out my dogs, I need to be able to know the command words. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But you're
Cool.
definitely
Yeah, I'll
not the
have
person
them.
who can train them.
We'll have them set guard, and me and him will check on them throughout the night. I mean, sleep most of the night, but at the same time, we also are going to keep our own little watch,
Okay. So
not like
you
full
get
watches.
okay.
We take like a 2 hour watch to let the dogs sleep, feed them, you know,
Okay. Before we
make
get
sure
too
nothing.
far into that, you start settling in for the night. You've issued the commands to the dogs. Um, there are a lot of sheep that are milling around, and the sheep don't seem like they're acting quite normally. Um, they're agitated.
Because we're at their home.
Possibly. I mean, if you'd like
Is,
to make a nature check, you're welcome.
is
A
there enough
couple
room for them?
a couple of them do come into the enclosure with you, and after about an hour it starts to get a little packed as more sheep make their way in. And yeah, there's plenty of room. It's not exactly pleasant, the kind of damp musty smell of all the sheep. But as you and Decker are kind of discussing their strange behavior, you hear a thunk on the roof.
Like an obvious thunk, or is it like
It's
storm thunk?
very obvious.
I
It does
will.
not sound like rain.
I will silently, but with enough force, issue the command for guard for the dogs to put them in the stance to be watch. And I'd like to say that we're like in the back, so we have some walls to our backs. I'll look at Decker and I'll put my fingers to my lips, the quiet, and I'll switch over to the thieves can't sign language, which he would have been taught, learned, and tell him that, and point up and ask if he heard the noise. Basically, is what
He
I'm gonna ask him.
nods and he kind of hunches down and pulls a dagger out of his belt.
I will order him to stay with the dogs and to, like, if need be, protect the dogs. Stay with the dogs so the dogs can defend him. He can defend the dogs, type deal. And I will pull my cloak up, my hood and my cloak up, and I will stealthily make my way out.
Okay.
Because it's dark, correct? Because the storm clouds are coming out. It's
It's
like
not nighttime yet. I mean, there's still a little bit of light.
it's
It's kind of
overcast.
like, yeah, it's like a very dark overcast. And you've never quite experienced a storm this dark before. As you step out, the wind starts kicking up immediately. It kind of grabs your cloak and pulls it around you, and you can feel it hitting your back. Um, where are you looking?
Well, first and foremost, I am using the cloak to my advantage of being stealthy, and I'm heading out away from the entrance about 20 feet and turn. And then as soon as I find like I'm making beeline straight out as stealthily and fast as quietly as possible, and then I'll turn around and look to the top of the enclosure, where I heard the sound, to see if I see anything right off the bat.
Okay, this is gonna be fun. You said you darted out 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
For every 5 feet you've darted, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
So roll four of them for me. Your DC is
1,
15.
2, 3,
I don't know why
4.
it's rolling double, but every time you
Oh,
hit it, it's
jeez.
rolling double. So I'm just going to go with the first five. So that
Okay.
is a fail, a pass, a pass, a pass, and a fail. So
Okay. I don't know why it's rolling double.
Okay, so the first step that you take out, you feel something hit you in the shoulder. It's hard and it is painful, and you take 5 points of damage. Um, and as you're moving, kind of you've already started your run, so you kind of like you can't stop at this point. Um,
Right.
but you look up and you see large chunks of hail raining down. And I'm not talking like golf balls, I'm talking like book sized pieces of hail, sheets falling down out of the sky.
Damn.
You
So there's
manage,
no danger other
not
than the
as
hail.
far as you know. You haven't turned around quite yet. So
Right.
the next three you're able to avoid, or excuse me, the next two you're able to avoid. Actually, I did say you said 20 feet. Okay. So the next three of them you're able to like see them coming and just kind of dart out of the way.
Right.
And then you turn around and you look at the shed and you see that there's already quite a bit of um, damage to the top of the shelter. You can't be certain because you're not a like a carpenter or anything like that. It looks like it's holding up,
Right.
um, but you don't see anything around the shelter other than the ice.
Okay.
And as you're making this observation, you hear a crash over to the side of you, and you see a chunk of ice the size of a horse that just hit the ground.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And
All right.
4 more dexterity saving throws if you're running 20 feet back to the shed.
Give me 6 seconds.
Try just hitting it twice.
Okay. Let's see what should I run back to the shed? Yeah, I'm out. I'm out in the open.
I mean,
One.
that's your call if you have another
Did
idea.
that roll that twice?
Ironically, it rolled it once.
Two. Come on. Three and four. All right. So how'd I do?
Okay, so that is a pass, a
Bad, bad,
fail,
good,
a
good.
fail, and a pass.
Okay.
So the sheets are getting bigger now, unfortunately. And I'm just going to roll them together.
Okay.
You take another 13 points of damage. None of them hit you head on, but you are clipped by a couple of these very large pieces as you dart back to the ship. At this point, Decker's yelling for you to get back.
All right.
As
And I
you
make it
get close
back.
to the shed, he kind of grabs you and pulls you in. Holy shit!
I don't know if the shed's gonna hold it up much longer. If you pray to a
What?
god, now would be a good time to pray.
Oh God! He drops to his knees. He starts saying something along the lines of, I've only ever talked to you once. I don't know you, but I think your name is Cord. I don't know, but can you stop the storm?" He's just kind of like freaking out.
Yeah. And I will pull a few of the dogs in close to me. I'll grab two of them, pull them in close, because I'm sure no matter how trained they are, they've got to be nervous. And I will just ride it out and hope for the best and calm the dogs and the horses when I can, help Decker stay calm and help me keep the animals calm.
So let me describe this storm to you. Um, the sound of it grows louder and louder. It sounds um, almost to the point where it sounds like what you would imagine a hurricane sounding like. You've never experienced one, but you've heard tales.
Okay.
Um, the wind is blowing little droplets of frozen ice everywhere. So it stings your skin.
Okay.
And then as the large pieces fall, they're getting to the point that they're so big that when they hit the ground is trembling.
Damn.
And all the while, the sky is growing darker and darker, and the wind is howling. You're having some trouble with the horses. Eventually, you have to kind of grab Decker and shake him, and he goes over to kind of calm the horse. Although they're
Okay.
freaking out, they're not wanting to dart out into the storm, so they're staying in place. But between the sheep and the horses and the dogs, it's just absolute utter chaos.
Okay.
And
I'm
just when
just
you
holding on
think
for dear life. Yeah.
Yeah, just when you think that like you've entered some kind of nightmare and this is never going to end. In reality, it only lasts about 20 minutes, but it seems like forever, wondering at what point one of these large horse sized pieces of hail is going to hit the top of the roof and just destroy you. But that doesn't happen. And eventually the storm starts to subside and the winds die down. The pieces of hail start to get smaller and the darkness starts to fade. It is now almost nighttime. You can see a little bit of a sunset. Um, it's still warm, so the pieces of ice that have fallen on the ground are starting to evaporate already, again, causing a little bit of a fog across the ground. But everywhere you look, you see the reflection of this kind of sunset, this kind of purple and orange sunset reflected across the fields in a kind of eerie fashion by all of the ice that's suddenly on the ground.
Just kind of come out to the entrance of what's left of the entrance of the shed and stare out in awe
It's
for a little
mangled.
while.
You feel very lucky that you guys made it through. Um, and there's just an eerie silence. Like there's no sound, no birds, no animals. It's just completely quiet. Even the sheep are just standing there, kind of trembling.
I'll stand there kind of reflecting for a while of what we just went through in silence. And after a while, kind of shake my head and get to work building a fire and making some dinner for us and taking a long rest and getting up and moving out in the morning. Kind of
Okay.
quiet, the whole night. Me and Decker, I see it. We're just going about our chores at the camp, kind of just quiet,
In a little bit of
eating.
a state of shock.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so
Falling
you
asleep and waking up.
you prepare your meal, you eat. Is there a reason you did that saving throw or no?
No, I'm moving my sorry, I'm moving my sheet up and down.
No problem. Um, so you eat your meal, you lay out your bed rolls, you kind of partition off a portion of it so you don't get trampled by horses or sheep during the night. And the two of you eventually go to sleep with the dogs keeping guard.
We fed them and brushed them and took care of them too before bed, as well as the horses.
Okay. And I don't know if Brett has talked with you about this, but there is
Mm-mm.
something that I do during my campaign that's called a cutscene. And a
Okay.
cutscene is when I want to be able to tell you what's happening without you interrupting me, basically.
No, you've told me
So,
about this.
okay. So we are going to be entering a cutscene here. And if you'll give me just one moment.
Okay, one question before we start. Am I getting a do I get my HP back? Because I have it open right now. I can enter it. If not, I can wait.
Yes, yes, you
Okay,
can do a long rest.
cool.
All the rest is kind of a bad word for what you're about to experience.
Okay. I
Are
will
you are
zip
you
it.
hearing music on your phone?
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
I'm not going to
It
bother.
stopped playing earlier.
Okay, I'm not going to bother. Well, I am just for the sake of the recording and for my own ambiance. I'm going to be switching the music.
Maybe I don't know why it's not playing, but
Don't worry about it. You'll be able to hear it on the recording if
cool.
you go back. Okay, so after this kind of insane night that you've just experienced, you're sore, you're tired, you lay down to rest, and sleep comes very, very quickly. But so does the nightmare. You come to consciousness and you're not really sure at first what you're experiencing. You think that maybe you've woken up in the shed and it's just completely dark. But after a moment, you realize you're not in the shed. You're in your home in Nocturne. At least it seems like your home, the home that you had as Liam as a child. The walls seem strange, though. You recognize your bedroom, but your bedroom was small, and these walls are far away, 30, 40 feet in the distance, barely visible, but it looks like your room. You don't quite understand it. You sit up in your bed and you look down at yourself and you see the small feet and the small hands. And as you're looking them over, trying to comprehend what's happening, you start to smell the acrid scent of smoke. You look around and you watch as all four of the walls around you start to light on fire. You stand up and you start screaming for your mother. And you, as William, are reliving this. And the anguish you're experiencing is intense. Baby Liam gets up, runs to the door, but the door is on fire. There's nothing he can do at all. And he cowers in the center of the room as the fire closes in, and you feel the heat licking your body, and you feel it burning your skin, and you feel it destroying the child in the. You experience all of his pain as he burns to death. And then there's darkness again. Your vision starts to return, and you're looking out at a scene much like what you experienced this afternoon. There's no sky above you, there's no sound, but the entire ground is covered with big chunks of ice that are reflecting colors from somewhere, no source that you can tell. It's eerie and disturbing and silent, and you feel chilled and injured. You look down at your body to assess your injuries, and you notice something very strange. Your right arm is the arm of Sister Llewellyn. In your left arm, you see the leather armor and the bow of Lord Arden. Looking down further, you look at your legs, and one of the legs seems very familiar to the butler outfit that you wear as Randolphinius. And the other leg is the familiar black-clad, booted leg of the Kingslayer. And as you're taking all of this in, you start to see shadows gathering around. You try to move away, but you're unable to move. And these shadows seem to coalesce and take form. And these forms are something out of Nightmare, but it's also something that seems vaguely familiar to you, something from your past. They coalesce into these gray figures with taut, shiny gray skin and black, featureless eyes. And there's four of them, and each one of them grabs one of your limbs. And as you stand there in absolute horror, unable to react or do anything, they tear you apart, limb by limb by limb. And then there's darkness again. Nothingness that stretches forever. Desperately, you mentally scream and try to call out, but there's no response. And you think to yourself, is this my afterlife? It's empty. Absolutely empty. There's no one there. No one that you love, no one that you could call friend, nothing that you could call home. It's just empty. And that's when you wake up. And the cutscene is over, and you are welcome to speak.
Um, I'd like to say that he would wake up in a cold sweat suddenly, um, striking a dagger into the ground next to him out of reflex. Kind of just one of those wake up attack moments like PTSD.
You hear a yelp as one of the dogs barely dodges out of the way of your dagger, and he kind of looks at you and gives you a little snarl.
What time of night is it?
It's hard to tell. If you'd like to make a nature check, you're welcome to, but it is still dark outside.
Okay, it's still dark. All right, I'll get up and I'll take a small walk outside and look at the ice and kind of just reflect. Um, I would like to ask, being half high elf and half dark elf, would that mean that I only meditated for 4 hours?
Unfortunately, we made the decision that your racial traits are all going to be half elf,
Okay,
and half elves do have to sleep.
checking.
No problem.
Cool.
As you stand up and start to go out on your walk, you glance over at Decker and you see him thrashing in his sleep. With a look of terror on his face. His eyes are closed, but he's like pulling at his hair and thrashing around.
I'll stop and consider the scene in front of me, and a side of Wolf that doesn't show itself comes out, and he will lean down and quiet Decker, try to like softly through his sleep to try to calm him down.
So you realize pretty quickly that nothing that you do is going to wake him out of this nightmare. And I won't tell you how you feel again, but you are helpless to do anything to comfort him. You're more comforting yourself by just trying to help him. It's about 3 minutes later when his eyes pop open, and like you, he's covered in a cold sweat. He immediately jumps to his feet and like not to his feet. He more like jumps, sits up, and starts immediately like crab walking backwards into the wall of the shelter. And his eyes go to the dogs.
I'll quiet him down. Be like, hush, 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 Decker, calm, calm. It was a nightmare. I just woke up from one of my own. Something weird is going on with this hailstorm and this tormented dream that I went through and saw on your face that you went through. Just calm yourself. And I'll put my hand on his shoulder.
He's kind of gasping for air, and he's hearing what you're saying, but he's also looking over your shoulder. Just keep him away from me. Keep him away. He's looking at the dogs.
I'll look back at the dogs and kind of question him for a second, but I'll give the dogs the command for stay. And then
Obedient, they lay down.
it's okay, calm down. It was just a dream, Decker.
Okay.
Here,
Yeah. Okay.
have a drink of this, and I'll pull out a wine skin with some wine. I'm a wine drinker. He doesn't drink anything but wine in any persona.
Okay. He takes a couple swigs. He's a kid. He doesn't usually get a lot of. You see it. You see a flush kind of take over his cheeks, and he starts to calm down.
I'll have him. I'll After he calms down, I'll coax him outside a little bit, and I'll find a nice spot to sit, and I'll pull out a pipe, and I will pack up some, something similar to, I guess, would be like, I don't know, something like weed or pipe weed that the hobbits smoke or something, and sit and talk with him and get to know him a little bit.
Okay. It's a little awkward navigating the ground because a lot of the chunks of ice are still there, but you guys kind of make your way out. under the night sky. There's stars up above. There's really no sign that there was a storm
Right.
earlier in the day, except for the ice itself. You guys spend a little bit of the evening talking. Do you go back to bed?
Um, After a while, yeah, but I'd like to emphasize the point that he opened up kind of to not like told him anything, but just he actually empathized and cared for somebody. It's not like him.
Right.
And then they went to sleep and resumed their travels the next day.
Okay, so you wake up in the morning, you feed the horses, you feed the dogs, you make your preparations. Decker saddles the horses up, and you guys set out for the day.
Yep.
The day is actually it starts out kind of misty again because of the ice, but over the course of the day, the sun rises and it melts a lot of the hay. The horses are having a little bit of a hard time, but by midday, most of the smaller chunks are melted, and you're able to kind of navigate around the larger chunks.
While we're riding, I'm going to take out my little diary notebook that I keep that I just bought before the journey, um, and start drawing pictures of the chunks of ice. Just something to do on the side.
Okay.
He keeps a journal.
Okay. Um, I would like for you to, I'll make a document for you later, and you're welcome to jot down whatever you'd like in the journal.
Okay.
Of course, you don't have to like draw pictures or anything, but you can just say like picture of ice chunks or whatever.
Copy.
If you're going to keep it in game, I want you to keep it out of game as well.
Roger. Will do.
Okay. Day passes. You guys stop around noon for a little lunch break. The afternoon is a little tedious just because of you guys really didn't get the best night's sleep. You're kind of having to navigate around these larger chunks of ice.
All right.
You're both on edge, and the day ends up being hot, a little bit miserable, but you get through it. You don't feel like you're making very good time.
So I'm a little frustrated.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
thinking that it's probably going to take you the full 3 days.
Okay. I
So,
noticed that because that leaves me less time to look around the mansion.
right.
Or just, yeah,
Well, I mean, she didn't necessarily give you a time frame.
that's true. I haven't really even talked to anybody. I just had word sent ahead that I would be arriving and that they would. I hope they would show me hospitality, or that he hopes that they would show me the hospitality of the Blackthorns.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so night is approaching again. What is your plan?
Is there any sign of an inn or a bed to sleep in? Because I do like beds.
Unfortunately, at this point, you don't see anything off in the distance. Actually, I should say make me a perception check.
Okay.
I tend to accidentally spell things like that without saying it. Um, but despite whatever you roll, there is nothing. So you need to make a decision on what you're gonna.
Okay, here's my perception check.
Yeah,
All right.
there's nothing.
I'll look at Deckard. We'll be like on our horses, and after looking around, not seeing anything, I'll be like, looks like another night outside. I hate this.
He doesn't seem too happy about that. He's like, well, what if the storm comes back?
Well, then we'll have to batten down like we did before. What if the storm? What do you think? What if the storm comes back?
All we
Think
got is
logical.
tents, man.
Think logical about this. If the storm comes back, we'll die. So maybe we should find some kind of secured shelter with an overhang. Maybe. Are we in the plain type area you said, or is there?
Looking around, you can see a little area of trees. It's about the only thing that might give you some shelter.
Okay. Yeah, we'll head over there and scouted out the area real good, make sure there's no like animals that would, want to hurt us or harm us before we set up shop.
Okay, so you're going to be camping again for the night. I am going to make a request that at this point we take a very quick, like 3 or 4 minute break. Just be
Okay.
back as quick as you
I'm gonna stay here because I'm chilling. So
can. Okay, well, I will be right back.
okay.
Okay. Are you good to go?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me? Unmute.
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, cool.
Okay, so evening is quickly descending on you. The sun is starting to set. Um, Decker, figuring that with his fear of the ice, he starts setting up camp. He actually sets up 4 tents, one for each of you and two for the dogs.
Okay.
And night falls. And as you're watching Decker do this work,
I'll help him.
okay, so you're helping him out. As the two of you are setting up camp, starting a fire, I'd like to know a little bit about how this dream affected Wolf.
Um, I'd like to think that Wolf has retreated into his Lord Ardent persona a little bit and is basically trying to numb the awakening of these feelings that have been plaguing him. And this dream kind of just really it really messed with him. So he is finding safety in something that has a realness to him because he knows the parameters of Lord Ardent's personality and it's familiar.
Okay. So right now he's in a little bit of denial. What was the worst part of the dream for him?
Um, Worst part of the dream was the abyss at the end.
That's what I suspected. And I didn't mention it to you, but that was very drawn out. Like it felt like it was endless. By
Mhm.
the time that you woke up, you felt like you could have been stuck there for a year. It was
Yeah,
absolutely miserable.
that was probably the hardest part to deal with for him because his mind's constantly moving, and he has, even though there's no technology, he has to have some kind of something going on. Either in his head, he's strategizing in his head, or he's physically working with his hands, creating or, working with poisons or whatever. So just sitting there in nothingness was torture for him.
Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this moving here. We're going longer than I thought, but that's okay because we're having.
Okay. I'm really having fun. Thank you. I'm surprised we're going this late. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, no, it's absolutely fine. I'm usually up this late anyway. The only thing that I'm worried about is pasta and whether or not he's going to be able to stay up late enough to stop the recording.
Okay.
But we will figure that out later. I'm not going to stress. Okay, so evening descends, the two of you make camp. Um, your little servant Decker seems to be struggling a little bit with the dogs. He's doing his job, but he's avoiding them as much as possible. And it's not hard for you. I won't make you make an insight check to realize that whatever his dream was, it had to do with the dogs and it's upsetting him.
All right. This is the evening time before bed?
Yes.
All right. Um, I'll help him put the dogs away, I guess you could say, like get them settled. And then I'm gonna pull him over to the fire, and begin setting up cooking stuff. And I'm gonna sit him down and real quick just tell him, I'm gonna look at him and say, look, I don't know what happened to you the other night, but we are not even half a day away from our objective. I need your mind in the game. You are my dog trainer. You are my manservant. I need you to be confident around those dogs. What is bugging you?
He kind of leans forward, putting his elbows on his knees and his hands in his face, and he rubs his face a little bit, rubs his hands through his hair. It was a really fucked up dream. The dogs ate me.
What did you experience every moment of it?
It was so real.
Yeah. I burned to death in my dream, and I felt
He
every moment of it.
he looks at you and looks at the fire, and I guess he's a little surprised you're sitting right in front of it.
It was just a dream, Decker. And
Yeah.
I continued like setting up the pans and cooking and handing him things to unwrap and prepare.
Okay. So you guys finish your meal. You bed down for the night.
Well, I make sure
After.
before we bed down, I want to make sure that he understands what I expect from him. That whatever happened to him, he needs to get over it because we have a mission, and that is priority. If he wants to continue being a member of the class, he's going to do well in this mission because I am not. I am someone who has the ears of people and in the higher ups. So
Man, Wolf is intense. Okay.
he no,
He
he's his duty is his duty. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does not take this lightly. He agrees that he understands. He says he just was a little shocked by it, but he's going to handle.
He handles it with empathy, but he's serious. Like he handles him like imagine like a firm big like mentor type. He kind of
Gotcha.
takes the role that he remembers from his own mentor.
Okay, so he agrees, and I'm gonna kind of fast forward this. The two of you bed down through the.
Cool.
Um, there's no sign of the storm. It's a bright, starry night, and after setting the dogs to guard, you drift off to sleep.
Okay.
And that's when the dream comes again.
Shit.
So I'm not gonna, just for the sake of time, I'm not gonna relay it again for the second
Right.
time. But it starts out in the room from your childhood. You wake up, everything catches on fire, you burned it up. And then there's darkness.
And then nothing.
No, it's a little
Oh,
different tonight. So then there's darkness, and you look down and you see the different personas you recognize in each of your limbs. And then the shadow creatures start to coalesce, and they take form into these gray creatures, and they grab your arms and they start to rip you apart. But suddenly, right there, the dream freezes. And you feel a strange sensation of another presence. It seems to be observing what's happening, and through some power, it's managed to stop your. You feel a wave of comfort pass over you, and you hear a voice that simply says, "No." And then before you can die again and the abyss overtakes you, the dream is gone and you wake up. However, you hear screaming from the tent across the way, and you realize that Decker is still in the throes of his dream.
okay. One of my traits is that I'm emotional and I do not react out of anger or emotion. Sorry. Um, I will immediately go and round up the dogs and pull them away from, a little bit far out from camp, telling them to stay, and then make my way to Decker, trying to wake him up if he's still in the throes.
He is. It seems very similar to last night. Whatever you just experienced, he is obviously not experienced, and it's experiencing himself. And it's a good 5 minutes this time. Last time it was 3. This time it's 5. You realize that 2 minutes of your dream was cut short.
I'm gonna
You
hold on to him this time as he's thrashing around, like hold my left hand in his hand and kind of hold him to me so that when he wakes up, I got a good hold on him.
Okay. So he wakes up. He has a very similar reaction. If you want to role play a little bit of this, feel free, but we're going to have to keep pushing forward.
No, keep pushing.
Okay, so you give him what comfort you are able to in your capacity to give comfort.
Right.
And eventually the two of you fall back asleep and make your way through morning. But again, I'm going to ask you, what did Wolf think of what happened? What is going through his mind?
He's analytical about it. Um, he's a tactician, so he's breaking down the dream and he sees it for what it is. It still messes with his emotions, but he's been very trained to hide his emotions in his different personas. So he's able to stuff down these feelings of angst and the questioning thoughts that that come with this whole experience, and tries to analyze it, but he keeps his current mission forefront in his mind, trying not to lose focus, even though it's really hard.
Okay. So the day dawns, you guys do your breakfast, you pack up, and are you going to set back on the road again?
Yep, and I will double check with Decker to make sure he's okay. I got to figure out a way to calm his mind before we get to where we go. I will also start formulating an excuse for his odd behavior, just in case.
Okay.
I'm
He's
always
actually a little bit better this morning.
okay.
Of course, the dream was still devastating, but with the experience of having had it before, he's a little more able to cope. He's
And
still
I'll have
not
him. I'll try
perfect.
to prod it out of him on the way, like on the trip. I'll try to have him talk about it, so maybe he can get it off his chest before we get there.
Okay, so by the time evening falls, you can actually see the castle in the distance. Um, And by that time, you feel like Decker has a pretty good hold on himself. You know that um, maybe it's going to be tough if he has another dream again tonight.
Right.
But then make an intelligence check for me.
Intelligence? Okay.
Yes. It occurs to you that if you're having these dreams and Decker's having these dreams, then maybe you don't need to make an excuse for him because maybe other people will be having them as well.
Okay. Cool. I can factor that in with my when I get there.
Okay, so castle is up ahead in the distance. It's just starting to sunset. Are you going to push forward? You'll probably have to make about 2 hours past sunset to get to the castle.
Yeah, actually that's perfect. That gives me a good excuse to be looking for shelter, especially with what's been happening. And I can immediately get to work because it'll be nighttime and quiet. So I'll look at Decker and I'll be like, it's showtime, yes? Kind of spur my horse to make better time.
Okay, so as I said, it's about 2 hours past sunset when you come to the gates of the. It's not particularly beautiful, but it looks more like a fort. It's well designed. Do you see the picture of it?
Yep.
Okay, so that's pretty much what it looks like. There's not a lot of cities actually surrounding the keep itself. There's, like just like the picture, there's a few huts and stuff like that. It doesn't look like there's a lot of people around. As you were approaching off in the distance, you could see that there's the where the two rivers converge, and it looks like most of the citizens of this area live in a little town that's built around the river. So it's really at this point kind of just the keep out here on its own. You guys make
Okay.
your way up the ramp to the gates, where you're immediately greeted by some servants in red and black livery that you recognize, with a seal that you recognize very well as the seal of the House of Blackthorn.
Okay. I'll present my noble seal and introduce myself as is customary.
Okay. The two guards escort you inside, taking like your coat and hanging it up, and they offer to take the horses and the hounds to the stable.
I will send Decker with the hounds and inform him to get back to me as soon as they are, stabled and everything's good.
He kind of gives you a little of a long look as he walks off. You get the gist that he's not really wanting to leave you at this point after everything that you've gone through, but he kind of strains his shoulders, and you get the impression that he's remembering your talk to him, and he turns and follows one of the guards. The other one stands with you, and he's quiet, waiting for a moment when one of the doors from the interior of the keep opens, and a lady approaches you. Um, First of all, the inside of the keep, it doesn't look particularly well kept. Um, there's not a lot of staff around. You expected to see, like, maids milling around and cooks milling around, but there's really none of that. It's just been you and the two guards so far. Um, it's a little dusty. Not looks It looks like it's not like lived in, almost, that it's not used very much. And all of the decorations are pretty sparse. Um, what is there is very fine and well made, like the tables and the chairs and everything, but
Mhm.
there's just not a ton to it.
Okay, what is that? And
Um,
that tells me it's like a very Spartan living style.
like a
That
very
tells
serious, yeah,
no money or
or purposeful.
okay, my professional business I would see. Okay, purposeful. Hmm. They don't take whoever is representing this household, what their words lightly, is what I'm getting my impression.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so the woman who walks through the door, if you're seeing her picture now,
Okay.
she's in long black robes, not particularly ornate, but very well made. She has a staff over her shoulder and a veil over her face. This is not the dress of a noble woman. Um, in fact, go ahead and make a
Religion. Let's
religion.
see.
You know well enough to know that this is the dress of some kind of priestess, although you're not recognizing what religion it might
Okay. I will nod my head down in deference as she approaches, and as is customary, allow her to speak first.
So she steps up to you and looks you over, and then gives a very polite bow of her head, not a curtsy like you would expect from a noble, but more of a bow, upper body bow of deference. Lord Ardent, I presume.
Lady Blackthorn, I presume? I say questioningly.
She hesitates for a moment in surprise. I'm sorry. If you expected to find the lady, she passed many years ago.
Excuse my ignorance. I apologize for my late intrusion.
I'm called Elbreth. I'm a priestess of Ioun and the steward of this castle in my lord's absence.
Hmm. And this is the Lord Zane, yes? Sorry, I forgot the accent. I'll just retcon that.
It's okay. It's very good, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
My lord Blackthorn, she corrects you.
Oh, yes. This is Zane. Yes, I have heard correct.
Correct.
Hmm. Well, again, I do apologize for my late intrusion, but I beseech you, succor on this. My night has been difficult. My last 3 days have been difficult. I've encountered hail, the size of horses, falling from the sky, almost killed us. Oh, my poor manservant is distraught. He cannot think straight. Some warm lodging and food would be most appreciative. My friend Sir Godfrey, he might have sent a letter ahead of us that we would be traveling through your lands on a hunting expedition. I hope we are not intruding.
There's no intrusion. Your letter was received. You said the size of horses. We
Hmm.
experienced the hail here, but it was much smaller.
Oh my gosh, it was so big and scary. It was loud. Like, imagine it would. Is what a hurricane would sound like. Yes, it. I need the night to rest. Oh, I have bought gifts for the lord of the house, and I will pull out the sword bandolier, the leather, and hand it to her. And I did not know if there would be a lady here, but here, and I hand her the fan. This is my gift for your hospitality.
She takes the two items. She doesn't pay much attention to the fan, but
Mhm.
she looks pretty impressed with the bandolier. And when she notices the engraving or the leather working on it, she looks up and gives you a very polite.
Kind of give her a sly smile.
These are very fine indeed. I'll make sure they're saved for the Lord when he returns.
My gratitude.
In the meantime, there's a room prepared for you and a meal. And if you'd like, we can pray together at the altar of Ioun about this storm and perhaps gain knowledge.
You have divine magic connection to your god?
I do.
Hmm. This is very rare. Well, this sounds most agreeable. What hour would you like for me to show?
She looks you over, seeing kind of the condition that you're perhaps on the morrow. You've had quite the experience.
Yes, this is most agreeable. Do you have baths and perhaps a maiden to bathe me?
We have baths, no maidens.
Ugh. My apologies. This is not arrogance. It just helps to get the back, you know.
She doesn't seem impressed by that. She just is standing there straight faced. You can make an insight check on her if you'd like.
Definitely. He tries to be, noblish, and this is part of his charisma.
Right. So with an insight of 23, you get a pretty good read on her. She just is not a person that has a sense of humor, and she's very serious.
Okay. He starts reformulating interactions and how to, handle his situations, and he will nod and say, "Very well. I appreciate the help. I will go see to my needs now, and we'll see you in the morning. Breakfast is served uh, early, or where? Maybe you will send someone."
I can send someone if that's your wish. We keep a sparse staff.
Hmm. Well, I have brought some of my own supplies and rations. If I um, would dare say, I'd love to cook. I could cook myself some breakfast. Maybe you as well.
A polite offer, but there's no need. I'll
Hmm.
see to your sustenance. And she gestures to the and he says, "This way, please."
Oh, thank you. And I'll follow him.
You see her leading out of a different door as you follow. He takes you up 2 flights of stairs onto a level that you can only assume is the living level. Again, it's rather sparse, a little more decorated here. There's a couple couches, some lamps, or candelabras, I should say. And he leads you to a room where he pulls out a large iron key and unlocks the door and opens it up. And you can see that, unlike the areas that you've traversed already, this room has been prepared. Like it's been dusted and it looks neat and clean.
Okay.
And as you step into the room, you see that there's already like a tray of food. There's like apple slices and chunks of bread and some melted cheese and like a jug of ale on the table with like little water droplets condensing and dropping down. You know, it's still cold.
Okay. What is the state of the guard? The guy who I'm following, I'm gonna as we're walking, I'm gonna observe him really. I'd like to pay attention to a few things. His demeanor, his health and hygiene, and the state of his armor.
Okay. His demeanor is serious, not much unlike the woman that you just encountered.
Okay.
Um, his armor looks like it has seen some use, but it is very well made and efficient. And you asked about what
His
else?
his hygiene.
Very well groomed.
Okay. This tells me that their treasury isn't fully depleted if they can hire guards of this caliber quality.
Yes, and you can tell by the just by the way he's moving that he's efficient.
Okay, I would talk to him a little bit on the way to try to get his name. Um, I would use my personality, seeing him as a military man, and I would adopt a more military personality as I walked. Maybe make like a persuasion check or something. We don't have to play it out
Yeah, go ahead and make a persuasion check. It's a good idea.
because those are my bread and butters.
Good roll. Okay. You learn that his name is Matthew. He is indeed a retired military man. He
Okay.
spent about
He's how
10
old?
years of service. He's in his 40s.
He's human, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll ask him one question. I'll say that I'll reference the lady and I'll be like, she's one tough nut to crack, huh? will be the one specific thing I want to say to him.
Let's just say she's not a woman or a god that you want to anger.
God. I'll look genuinely shocked.
He kind of leans in and says, she's got some powerful magic.
Mm. Well, thank you. I would not want to misspeak in her presence then. Now continue on.
So he
Wait for
stands.
Decker.
Well,
Oh,
he
sorry.
stands at the door as you walk in
Mm-hmm.
and says, there's been a bit of a crime spree around here. For your protection, I'm going to lock the door behind you. If you need anything during the night, ring that bell. And you see that there's like kind of a levy system where there's a bell, and if you ring it, it must ring somewhere else in the castle to notify them that you have something you need.
So I am confined to my room.
We don't wish to infringe on our hospitality or on providing hospitality. However, this is for your safety.
For my safety. What
If
about
you
my
need
hounds,
anything,
my horses, my manservant?
we can send your servant up. The animals will be well guarded, I assure you.
Okay. Very well.
So
Where do I piss?
oh, he gestures off to to like a small side where there's a bath and a chamber pot and everything
Right.
you need.
Thank you, Matthew.
It's about 5 minutes later when Decker comes up to the room, and he shuts the door behind the two of you, and you hear the sound of the key locking the door behind.
Okay, and I will proceed to spend the next like 20 minutes checking every square inch of the room for like holes, just like traps, different things. Looking for
Yeah.
people listening somehow.
Make an investigation check.
Did it roll? No. Boop.
Okay. You don't find anything. The construction of the keep is pretty solid.
Okay.
You spend a little time like pressing on the walls to see if maybe there's any like little false areas or anything.
Okay.
But no, you don't find it.
How many exits are there? Is there like windows?
Yeah, there are a couple windows. There are bars on the outside of the window.
Okay. Is there a balcony?
No, there is no balcony in this room.
Showing a fellow lord such, shabby quarters. No balcony of the garden. All right, so I will after doing all that, I'll kind of settle in, look at what's his face, Decker, and say, this place is pretty locked down. It is best that we do not, and I'm really quiet. We do not break our concentration. Yes, be utmost respectful to everybody you meet here.
He gives you a nod of understanding and heads over to, there's like a mat laid out for him.
Right. I'll just make sure he understands that he's not to go anywhere. He's not supposed to. His mission right now is to play my manservant, and he's following all the rules.
Which he does, and he
Right.
acknowledges that.
All right. After some time, I'm going to pull out my little burglar pack, and I think I have a little mirror, and I'm going to see if I can see what's on the other side of my door from underneath, if there's enough space
Okay, how much time are you giving it?
to look.
No, I mean, how much time are you waiting
Oh,
before you
probably
start
about
this?
like an hour. I'm gonna get settled in, write in my journal a little bit, and make sure I'm mentally prepared for this evening, because this is a lot trickier than I thought it was gonna be. But I
Okay.
need to do snooping around.
So you arrived at the castle about 2 hours after sunset. So let's say mid-spring, that was probably about 10 o'clock. Another hour passes. You're at 11:30 after the time that you spent talking to. By the way, she introduced herself as Elbreth. I don't know if I said.
Okay. Elbreth.
Yes. So it's about 11:30 when you start your roguely devices here. You slide the mirror under the door and you don't see anything. Well, I mean, you see walls and you see things, but you don't see any people around.
Okay. He's having issues, man. He's having some major issues. Let me put you in his state of mind right now. He is extremely nervous. He shouldn't be. He wouldn't normally be this nervous, but for some reason, all this stuff that's been happening on the way here, the feel of this place, the lockdown, everything, he's extremely nervous and he's wondering what his worth, what is the way to go here? And should he go at night or should he try to find things out during the day when he's out with the chick? Maybe he can earn a little bit of trust and stay here for a few days and be able to get some freedom of movement without going out and then getting caught and screwing it up on his first night here, where there'll be more.
Make another intelligence check for me.
All right.
And this is just whether or not I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
13, not bad. So you know that the story that you gave was that you were going to be hunting and passing through.
Right.
You could maybe come up with a secondary story like, oh, the hail and this and that, and I want to stay a couple nights but it may not be as well received as you completing your mission tonight. That's kind of what's running through your head. You may lose out on the opportunity if they.
I'm damned if I do. All right, I will tell Decker. I'll make sure that during that hour and a half that he got some sleep, I'll make sure that he tries to get some sleep, but to be prepared to move, like not unpack. He's like ready to go at a moment's notice.
He understands.
Okay, and I will get to work on the lock. Is there access? Can I access it with the thieves' tool from this side?
Yes.
Okay. Thieves' tools. Boom.
Okay. You spend a couple minutes working on the lock. You don't have much success. You kind of sit back on your heels and think about it for a little bit. And in other situations, I won't allow this, but this is the kind of thing where you have a lot of time. No one's watching you, no one's stressing you. So if you'd like, I'm going to allow you to take 20.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take 20 on this one.
Okay. So you spend about 20 minutes kind of messing with the lock, and you are eventually able to pop it open.
All right. And I will, with my hood up, and its camouflage properties inact, make my way down. Would I have had, when I was looking at Blackthorn, would I have had access to any designs of their blueprint of their estate?
Nope,
I
you
don't
didn't
think so.
look into that.
I didn't. I should have. That's good planning that I didn't think of beforehand. All right, looks like I gotta wing it. Basic design. I will head. Oh shit. I don't know where to go, do I?
Forgive me for this really crude drawing. But it is not a complicated floor plan.
Okay.
So this is very much what this floor that you're on is like. Okay. So this is the area with the stairs that you came up. And then this is the room that you're in right now. There's another room over here. And then there's what appears to be a larger room with double doors down in this direction.
Okay. And I'm in the middle.
Yes, and this is the top floor of the keep. Um, so each of the rooms has kind of like an area where there's like a, like the towers. Um, but yes, you're on the top floor and you're currently standing right there.
All right, I will make my way out to one of the towers to look over the keep to see if I can use intuition and experience to figure out where I need to go to find dirt on this family. I'm thinking a vault of some sort, where else would you keep something that you could use against that someone could use against you if you had it? Library,
Where
like
where
family
would William keep it?
family records. I would keep it in a safe,
Where would you
prob-
keep a safe?
probably in my bedroom or my office.
Okay. Well, you're on the living area right now.
Oh, I'm in the actual living area, not the guest, like a guest wing.
Well, you are on the top level of the castle. I don't know if you heard me mention it when you walked up that this seems to be like the living area with the room.
Okay. I will start searching for a safe in one of the rooms. I will one by one using stealth and um illusion magic if I need to.
Okay, which room are you going to first?
The closest one to my door, north, I think, is that northeast.
There's one straight across the hall from you, and then there's one to the south of you.
Go to the one in the south.
Okay. Go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
All right, this is where you need to shine, Wolf. This is where you shine.
It's not bad.
Awesome.
Okay, so utilizing the shadows, there's only a couple torches on the wall here.
Mhm.
Utilizing the shadows, you kind of dart from shadow to shadow and make your way to the southernmost.
And the cloak is also acts like a camouflage. Remember, as I'm moving, it changes. I don't remember then the description of the thing that you showed me.
Right. So before you are two large double doors.
Okay.
They're rather ornate, unlike the room that you came from.
All right. Once again, using the mirrors, I will look underneath for any movement, anybody close by.
Okay, perception.
Okay.
You do not see anything in the mirror and you do not hear anything.
All right. I will check the door to see if it's unlocked.
It appears to be locked.
Locked. All right. I will open that son bitch. This is my thieves' tools. I got it this time. Did it roll? No.
Not yet. Okay. This time you're able to open the lock on your first attempt.
Awesome.
The little click of the tumblers dropping into the right place sounds kind of loud, but you glance around, kind of holding your breath for a moment, particularly glancing at the stairs, and you don't hear or see anything.
All right. I will entree
Okay,
slowly, stealthily.
so this is a very large room, and you can tell immediately by the decor that this is a room designed for a.
Shit,
There's
this is
there's
priestess's room.
It looks like a room designed for a noblewoman. And
Do I
as
see
you enter, you notice dust on the floor. There's dust
dust?
everywhere. All the furniture is covered in sheets and drapes, and the windows are like pulled tight and covered not only with curtains but with some board. It looks like no one has been in here in a very long time.
All right.
On the
I
wall
will.
on the wall directly in front of you is a painting of a woman, very beautiful woman, maybe in her 20s, with long dark black hair and big expressive blue eyes. And in her arms, she's holding a little brown haired baby boy.
Okay. Can I infer that this is the former Lady Blackthorn? That the or the Yeah. Is that how you say that when they're passed?
So, yes. So, Godfrey did tell you that she was a rather stunning woman,
Okay. And that must be little Zane.
perhaps.
All right. Being quick, I will and also using what I know about entering into areas with high dust concentrations and how to hide my tracks. I will look for my main concern is documents, either documents or a safe. But I really have a hunch that I might find some documents here that might help me.
Okay. I want to tell you, Will, normally I would be a lot more descriptive in this, and I apologize that you're not getting the full experience, but with the time, I'm just going to kind of move.
No
Um,
problem.
and again, I would let you take 20 on this because you're not rushed. There's no guards around. So we're just going to assume that you pass your roll.
Okay.
You spend 5-10 minutes looking around. You come across a closet with all kinds of women's clothing in it. You start to get the impression after spending time here that yes, this is definitely the room of Morgana Blackthorn, and it has been carefully preserved out of
Right.
reverence or obsession or whatever it is. You're not sure, but it has been preserved and untouched since her. Um, you do eventually find a table um, and with a drawer in it. You open it up and you find some documents. Um, at first, you think you've not stumbled across anything interesting. You find like her noble writ of or her writ of nobility. You find some family lineage type stuff, which is very much like what you found in the library. You find some old, business documents, some stuff about the keep itself. Um, and just when you're starting to feel a little frustrated, you come across in the very back a hidden compartment. And you pull it open and you find a stack of what appears to be love letters.
That's jackpot. He is excited. He pockets everything because you never know what intel can be derived, and he'll make sure that that gets sent back to his dark elf mistress. But yeah,
You're
this is
pocketing everything?
yeah. I'm gonna put everything in my little all the documents that I found are gonna go in that little pocket on my bandolier or my hidden pocket that you have on my bandolier.
Okay. Roll an intelligence check for me.
Intelligence. Okay. I don't think they'll miss it if it's been here for so long.
An 11. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, that's kind of what crosses your mind. It hasn't been touched for a long time. The question is how long it will take them to notice that it's gone. But,
I think I'll be gone by then, and they can't pin it on me.
right. Okay, so what are you doing now?
I will not push my luck. I will make sure that I exit in a way that I don't like, once again, I don't leave a trail and make my way back to my room for the night and prepare for the next morning to speak to a god or goddess.
You're not going to search the other room?
I'd like to, but I think that I think I've hit pay dirt. He has a strong hunch. Can I spend some time looking through it just to see if this is what I was looking for
Yeah, sure.
before I leave? If I feel that the situation warrant, I can do that. I don't want to bog down the time.
Sorry, I was getting messaged. I thought at first that it was pasta, but it's not. Okay.
Words.
Um, okay, so you spend some time looking through these love letters, and you realize that you have hit the jackpot. It doesn't take you very long because the name of the person writing the letter is Uriel.
Uriel Blackthorn.
No,
No.
Uriel Taldore.
Oh, the former king.
Yes.
Does this implicate what I think it implicates?
If you want to spend all night reading through the letters, you're welcome to.
Well, not well. I'm just like
But
my instinct.
you've got a stack of like 30 letters there. I mean, it's obvious from the language in the letters that there was some kind of romantic affair going on between the two of them.
Okay.
But for more details, you're going to have to spend the night looking.
I will this evening go back to my room, spend an evening looking through stuff, gathering intel, and preparing for the next day. And I will attempt the next day to see if I can stay one more night. If I can, I will look through the other room.
Okay.
But if not, I will feel lucky with what I got and head back and decide what to do with the information that I eventually get from everything.
Okay. So again, we're gonna, and I'm sorry I'm doing this. This is
No,
not
it's
a great
fine.
first
Just make it a
experience.
good story. That's all I care about.
Right. Okay. So we're fast forwarding. Morning comes. First of all, you spend some time covering your tracks. You did mention that. So you're able
Mhm.
to rearrange the dust to look like the room has not been disturbed, and you carefully relock it. Heading back to your room, you relock your room. Um, Decker gets up and kind of asks you about your mission. Asks if he doesn't ask for details, but he asks whether or not it went well. Um, and then,
We'll see.
assuming you tell him yes, or
I'll just say we'll see. And that's when I dive into the letters fully.
okay, so you are going to spend the night looking at the letters.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm used to not getting a lot of sleep, you know. I
That's
will
fine.
I will nap, of course. I'll probably sleep for about 4 hours before getting up and getting ready to tackle everything. But I want to really dive in deep because this is what he does. This is his shtick. He's a mastermind, you know.
Okay. Um, it doesn't take you long to go through them. There's quite a few of them, maybe 15 letters that have gone back and forth, and you get the gist that they've occurred over the course of about 2 years by the time the end letter stops. Um, at first, it's all flowery and romantic, and you get the idea that these were sent to Morgana at the time that she was at court.
Right.
However, about halfway through, they start to get more serious and they start mentioning her pregnancy and the fact that it has to remain hidden. And then
Oh.
through the course of the letters, you come to learn that basically money was being funneled from Uriel to her for the care of the baby. But at that point, he had cut off ties. So she was being paid to keep silent.
So
And things did not end well.
I basically have proof that the son of Morgana Blackthorn is heir to the throne.
That appears to be what you have in your hand.
Wolf needs to process this information. This is a big deal. because this isn't just a big deal professionally for him. This is a big deal personally because my mentor was of what's it called, follower of the former king, and instilled a sense of what's it called, patriotism,
Gotcha.
loyalty to the king.
So it takes you a few hours to go through this, and looking out the window, you decide to finally lay down for bed, with dawn close approaching.
All right. Of course, I will hide all my stuff in by that small no, like pouch of holding that I have, where I
Right,
keep all my
in
secret
the
stuff. That
cloak. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So you lay down, you fall asleep, and that's when the dream begins. Again, the nightmare.
Jesus.
Yep.
Can I fight back this time?
Um,
Can I try to hold
you
myself together
can
when they pull me apart?
mentally. I'm not cutscening this time, and there's a reason for that. So I will let
Okay.
you feel like you are trying to fight this dream, but you're incapable of it.
All
You
right.
almost feel like you're trapped.
All right, cool. So I'll wake up frazzled and stressed out.
Actually, so the dream begins, and you know what's coming. In that second when you realize what's happening, you almost like relive the dream again, preparing yourself. But this time, as soon as the dream starts, it pauses again, and you
Hello?
feel that same presence from before. Um, and as you mentally do that, call out help, you hear a voice. It's a male voice, and it says, Liam, you're far from me. Are you going further?
What do you mean?
I won't be able to shelter you soon.
Who are you?
You sense a little bit of hesitation, and there's no answer.
Do I need to come to you?
I can't protect you if you go further.
Further.
Um, and as this is happening, you start feeling a sensation that you realize very quickly is not coming from you. You feel um, you feel pain, and it's not just pain; it's agony, and it feels like whatever this creature is that's talking to you is trying to block you from it. But whatever connection you guys have, it's kind of seeping around the edges. You realize that this is what he is experiencing right now, not what you are experiencing.
So like an empathic connection of some sorts.
Yeah, and I don't know if Liam has ever experienced anything like this in his life, but that's what your guess is. You realize that you're getting just a little taste of whatever is going on to this creature right now, and it is worse than what you experience being burned, worse than what you experience being torn apart. It's terrible. And yet, through all of that, you feel him reaching out to you and providing you with comfort.
I don't know how to feel about that. Does it feel malevolent in any way? Would my connection to the Shadowfell tell me?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It is the most comforting experience that you've ever had in your whole, just just this wave of Comfort passes over you. You feel sheltered. You feel protected.
So he'll break down then probably and feel bad for whatever it is that's trying to help him that feels so much pain and kind of maybe open himself up a little bit to help share the burden of the pain because he knows what it's like.
As soon as the creature on the other side realizes that you're what you're doing, you feel that kind of mental connection fade a little bit, and the pain that you are feeling stops. He's blocked you off from it.
I'll just I won't feel pity. I'll just kind of send forth feelings more than words of empathy, like understanding, and just leave it at that and see where the dream goes.
So the dream is still paused, but you hear the voice again, and it says, "This is more a premonition than a dream. If you don't want your life to take this path, find me."
What do I
And
call? What do I
then
call you?
the connection breaks, and you wake up.
And a cold sweat.
With your mind reeling.
I bet Decker's been looking at me because I was probably making noises and moving.
Decker is still in the throes of his dream.
Oh Jesus, poor guy.
And in fact,
I
you
hope the class
hear
has a good medical program.
a good PTSD program.
Yeah, some good like mental health
As you're
help.
looking over at Decker, you hear kind of the sounds of what sounds like screaming and crying and stuff from elsewhere in the castle.
I will just go and comfort Decker until he calms down and kind of sleep, like doze.
Okay, so just like on nights before, he wakes, he tells you he's had the dream about the dogs tearing him apart again. This time he's handling it even better than the time before, but he's really tired of having these dreams.
Me too. We'll leave these lands as soon as we can. I think I have what I need.
Okay. So morning comes, you wake up. There's a knock on your door early, and one of the guards, Matthew, brings you a plate of kind of a dried meat and fruits, as well as a couple packs of rations that they've prepared for you.
Okay. So he comes in, he's got rations, so it's like they expect me to leave today.
Yes. You
Okay,
also
cool.
notice that there's big black bags under his eyes, and he
Mhm.
looks tired.
I'm just gonna look at him as he's hand delivering it and be like, and just look at him and kind of just break the ice because that's how I am. And say, so, are the dreams every night?
He gives a sigh. Past 3 nights.
Wait, they just started 3 nights ago.
Last night was the third.
That was the night I started having them on my trip. I wonder if this is like this across the land.
Well, you're the first visitor we've had. I can't tell you that, but
Does the Lady Elbrid know what might be causing this?
she's been praying about it, but she doesn't. I just hope
Hmm.
they fucking end soon, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew. I can understand. So can my manservant. He has been dreaming he's been ripped apart by our very own dogs every single night. Poor guy.
He shudders.
Yes. Me, myself, I am burning for days.
Well, I wish you luck. Shall I prepare your horse?
Hmm. Yes, I would like to maybe leave when the sun is at its peak. Is this agreeable? I would like to discuss some things with the priestess and maybe find my own answers. Yes, this is okay. I am also a lord of these lands.
He agrees with you and takes his leave unless you have anything else to say to him.
Nope.
He says he'll have the horses ready.
Cool. I'll send Deckard that. First, I'll make sure he eats, and then I'll send him to take care of the dogs and get him prepared to go. Poor guy.
Oh, you're just traumatizing him.
I know, but he's got to suck it up.
Okay. So you make your way downstairs, where you encounter the priestess.
Hmm. And I suggest we do the thing she was suggesting the day before, and to explain to her a little bit about my dreams, not about anything like to do with the voice, but just to kind of be able to create some form of connection because I'm sure she's going through it too.
Right. She seems very stoic. She doesn't have bags under her eyes.
Hmm.
She doesn't admit anything to you about having a dream, but she listens to what you said and admits that that the dreams have been happening to the people around the castle.
Does
She
she look
says
like she's putting
nothing.
makeup on her to cover?
It's hard to tell with the veil.
Oh yeah, she's got a veil. It's true. All right, cool.
Yeah. So she leads you to an altar and she kneels to pray. And you guys spend about an hour doing this. Um, and when she finishes, you guys have, again, I'm just going to fast forward. I'm sorry. You
Oh
guys have a
please,
little bit of a conversation, and the only thing that she tells you that she's gleaned through her prayer today is that the storm was not natural.
but the storm wasn't natural. Okay. Hmm. I'll make sure to take note of this interaction and thank her for her hospitality, and make sure that my name is remembered and passed on to Lord Zane to make a connection because I maybe.
She tells you that he is in Amon currently, and if
Maybe
you
I will.
make your way back there, you should drop in on him. And she actually gives you back the bandolier and says that it's likely that you'll see him before she does.
Okay.
She does
Thank you
not
very
return
much.
the fan.
It's for her anyway, so it's good.
Okay. So we're going to skip all of the farewells and everything. They do send you off with some rations. The horses have been fed and watered. They've been brushed. Your tack has been oiled. And the dogs look like they've been well fed. Is there anything else you want to do here before it's time to go?
Um, while we're preparing the horses, he'd like to sit out front of the castle and kind of sketch the castle a little bit, just as a rough sketching of the castle for his own like personal records. This is something
Okay.
he'll be doing a lot through his journey, so you can prepare for it.
Okay, no problem. Again, let's go ahead and make a I guess you can use your forgery kit roll. So that would be a 1d20 plus 6, I believe.
I actually found the tool
Okay.
box now. Oh man, it exited journal. Sorry, it won't be like this next time.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm actually very fine with it. This has gone very well. I just feel bad that I'm rushing through things.
Oh, I'm having a
Very
great
good.
time.
Yeah, you actually do a very impressive drawing of the castle. It's almost 3D with the shading and all the details and the sky above. It's something that you might actually be able to sell if you decide to later.
Nice. Or give as a gift to somebody.
Yep.
So I'll note
Okay.
that
So
and then make my way.
again, I'm going to very much summarize this and I apologize. But
Stop. I want a good story, and you're doing a great, amazing job.
you spend about 2.5 days. You make better time on your way back. You don't counter any storms, although there is some rain, and one of the days the two of you are quite miserable. The dreams
Dreams?
continue for
Okay.
your friend. They do not continue for you. You start to feel them, but there's some kind of barrier almost that is preventing um, the dreams from seeping through. The first night, you kind of feel like it might happen. The second night, you're aware that the dream is starting, but it's blocked. And then by the third night, you sleep through the night.
Okay. Is there anything I can do for him at all?
Mm-mm. You can hold his
Uh,
hand.
Well, I'll treat him, with respect, but I'll make sure to try. Like the mentor, not tough love per se, but firm hand, but understanding.
Out of curiosity, are you telling him that you're not having the dreams anymore, or are you acting like you're still having it?
I'm not saying anything about myself. I'm just helping him through his.
Okay.
I'm kind of just I'm kind of avoiding. I'm using like persuasion to avoid mentioning myself type deal,
Okay.
manipulating the conversation.
That's fine. He's a kid. I'm not going to make you roll it.
Cool.
Um, so it's afternoon on the fifth day of your journey. 3 there, 2 back. I guess technically it would be the sixth, the afternoon of the sixth day, when you pass through the lower slums into the city of the mine. There are signs of damage from the hailstorm. In fact, the closer you get to the city, the more remnants you're seeing of the larger hail. There are some out on the beach in the distance that almost look like they're the size of small houses.
All right.
The slums have been hit pretty hard. Um, Most of the residences here are tents and shacks and things that are kind of just barely held in. So they have been damaged. However, there are also things that are easily rebuilt, and people seem to be processing and moving on. However, everyone you encounter does look tired. Everyone has bags under their eyes, and you hear a lot of whispers about nightmares and things that are going on.
Wow. Okay.
Um, so you make your way back into the city at this point. Unless you need him for anything, Decker is going to be heading back to the Arden estate with the hounds and the horse.
I'll give him one more task on his way out. Um, he will take the bandolier that I made for Lord Zane Blackthorn. And he will find a courier service, and I'll give him the money for it, and they will send it to Lord Zane Blackthorn with a note, personalized note that I'll write, just something that I'll send you later, um, to be delivered after, on a date of his specification. It'll be after he's infiltrated and he can see the reaction from the inside of the group.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to tell you that it's going to accidentally get lost in the mail and be delivered like 2 months later.
No, I have plans. Like, there's a few things I want to do before I join the group. Depending on what my mission is. I haven't said anything because it varies depending on what mission I'm given and how I infiltrate. You know what I'm saying? But
So again, fast forwarding, I assume that you're going to be checking in with Lord Godfrey, let him know that you're okay. We're not going
yeah,
to role play through. Um,
I'm gonna spend the next 2 days creating a complete mission report, and a full summary of the entire batch of letters, so into a readable, understandable like summary of basically what they say.
okay. So it's about a day after you've turned that in to your superiors, that the same small child runs up to you and delivers you a letter.
This time I'll give him a gold piece.
This time he smiles at you and then
I'll
runs
like
off.
shake his hair a little bit before he goes and
Last
make
time
my
he was
way.
like, "You cheap bastard."
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what I was doing. I made my way. I didn't have my money on me at the time. That's my
Um,
excuse.
it is another summons to the council chamber.
This time I'm more prepared for an empty council room.
And that is indeed what you find when you enter. Only this time she's not hiding the fact that she's there. She's sitting on the table waiting for you. And in her hands is the stack of letters and your report. You enter the room and the door slams closed behind you. You don't know how.
I'll make my way towards her and give her the sign of respect from between class members to their superiors. Like a hand to the chest or something, whatever. Like a
You wait.
salute.
You wait for about 5 minutes, kind of shifting on your feet, waiting for her to talk. And she's slowly flipping through the papers. She hasn't made eye contact with you. And then eventually sorry.
Go ahead.
Eventually she straightens and sets the paperwork on the table behind her. Um, and then she puts her hands behind her and kind of pushes herself up onto the table. So she's sitting on the edge of it, crosses her legs, and puts her hands down on either side and looks. Well, I would say this was a success.
I agree.
She has a
What do you
big
make
grin.
of it?
She has a huge grin on her face, which you can't really see it because of the mask, but you can tell by the sound of her voice as she speaks, and just kind of like the way her cheeks move and the mask moves as she's
Right,
smiling.
her body language. I read body language. That's gonna be his shtick. Is he's really into people's body language.
I think that this opens a world of opportunity if he can be manipulated, which at this point I would say is a very strong possibility.
We have an opportunity to put the power behind the throne. To maybe, I don't know. Maybe I
I
could infiltrate this Lord Zane and we could find a way to make the clasp a legitimate organization.
Her eyes kind of get bright when you say that, and she leans into you. And then she hesitates and looks around. And again, you're getting the impression that she's, for lack of a better word, perception checking
Right.
to make sure that no one's. She leans and then says, "It's an interesting statement. This very day, he propositioned me. He said that he would aid me to take over the class."
Hmm.
And this is kind of like a shock to you. There's
Can it,
always been three spiralings.
can it be
Um,
done?
perhaps, perhaps we could make some real change. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the missions that we've been receiving lately have been
Boring.
detrimental to our reputation, below our ability.
I feel like a cutthroat. After the battle, I don't know. I liked feeling better about what I do.
She sits back a little bit and looks like she's reminiscing. I agree. Although it was a horrible time for the city, those years, or that year under the reign of Thordak, really showed me what we're capable of.
Well, I think this would be a good job for Randolphinius.
I agree. We need to wait for the appropriate time. We need to let him come to us. He's not,
So
in my opinion, particularly clever, but neither is he stupid. And those that he's
okay.
surrounded himself with could pose a problem.
And you have all the intel in their backgrounds as well, correct?
She gives a snort. Who do you think I am? And
This is
she
good.
reaches behind you and hands you like a dossier with a lot of information. But before you get the chance to, um, she says, "I have one major concern.
Okay.
I don't fully understand it yet, They haven't told me everything. But it appears the group has a patron.
Benefactor? Or like a god?
I don't believe a god. Someone who may be influencing. They've named themselves Lysander's Legion.
Lysander's Legion? Can I make is a Lysander a history check that I could make? If I recognize the name?
You may make, I'm going to ask you not to meta this, but you're welcome to make a religion.
Religion check. Of course I wouldn't meta this.
This is a very high DC, though.
It's fine. I only have a +1 to my religion, so if 21 can't beat it, then I won't even roll.
I'll give it to you on a nat 20.
Okay. And then we'll just say I don't know him. I'm taking too long to open my sheet.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar to you at all.
Okay.
She kind of leans back a little bit and raises one of her hands and rubs her chin.
Is he a threat? This Lysander?
I know nothing of him, but if he's capable of influencing Blackthorn, then he's a rival.
Then he's a rival. That's what I was thinking.
If
Do you
you
know
have the opportunity, take him out.
Take him out?
This is too important.
Then I'm gonna need you to acquire something for me that's a little hard to get. Just in case.
She raises an eyebrow.
There's this poison. It's called Midnight's Tear. It's the poison that I used on the king. Once given, you have to ingest it. Once it's given, the target has till midnight to take the antidote. At midnight, it's really bad. And it's very showy and messy.
She raises a hand. Again, who do you think I am? And she opens her vest, and on the inside of her vest, you see sewn into it are a number of pouches, and in each of those 30 pouches or so, there's a small.
Okay. If she hands me anything, then I'll take that and the antidote, just in case.
She actually doesn't hand you one. She says,
"Oh, okay.
Let me know when you have your plan in place and you're prepared, and I'll provide you with what's necessary. And as long as we keep this contract, this friendship,
blood oath,
a good word.
No, that's what it is.
I'll be your benefactor.
Okay. Just know that I will be loyal. I am a loyal. I am a man of discipline. I believe in order.
And out of character, I just want to remind you about the whole half pint thing.
Yeah, I will. I've kept that in mind. I'm still playing William Wolf he doesn't. This is an act too. Gotcha. Like you've seen him with Guilford with Sir crap, he's my friend. I know his name. His
Godfrey.
Buddy. Yeah, Godfrey. Thank you, Sir Godfrey. That's kind of more what he is, but this is him at business. That's why he's still wondering, but he's not going to bring anything up yet.
Very well.
Not at the second.
When the opportunity arises, I will send them to you. Remember, you don't know me.
I don't know you, Lorna. I will put a tail on this Zane and his group, and I will get close. I will watch, but I won't interact. I will stay out of sight while I gather intelligence, but I need to know everything I can before I make contact.
Very well. One more thing. One of Lord Zane's associates, a woman, a merfolk. Make sure she doesn't get in the line of fire.
Copy. I can do that.
Farewell, half pint. And she stands up, hops down, and disappears. And I know that there's more that we need to do, but we're going to do it throughout the week in messages to
Okay.
get you caught up to speed because there's some things you need to know, but we're going to go ahead and end it.
Okay. One last thing before he goes to bed, though. I'd like to put in a recommendation for the spy program for Decker with
Oh,
one of
nice.
the. So that's just a little fun little story thing.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and have Pasta jump back in and end the recording. He just told me that there may be some issues with it, but that's fine.
Okay.
Even if we didn't get the video or whatever, it's absolutely fine.
I had fun.
Um, Good. Do you have any questions or concerns or anything like about the dance style or just anything that you want to bring up after having played?
No, I'm really open to your style. I like it. It feels comfortable. Doesn't feel pressured. You're very story driven, which I really enjoy. There wasn't too much bogged down of mechanics. It was more narrative, and I really appreciate those kind of games. So no, I'm really happy. I'm glad that I get to join the group, and I hope that just like I bring better or more story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you will. The only thing I want to say to you is I want you to be careful with the contacts. I'm going to let you have them
Okay.
and keep them, but I don't want it to be that they're always a solution.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things in the game that there's so much there to interact with. Like, using the Tal'Dorei guide is just a massive world.
All
Um,
right.
so just keep that in mind.
Okay. I'm trying to keep role play, introduce him a little bit and kind of show different aspects of his personality.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm really interested in this character. I've been telling everyone that that this is well, it's funny because like I said, you pretty much have had to create 5 different characters
yeah.
or 6 actually because you've got Liam, you've got William Wolf, you've got all your different personas, which was a really difficult process and I appreciate the fact that you put so much effort into it. Um,
That's fun.
so
I'm
I think
excited to do this.
yeah, I think you're going to have fun with the group. I will say that next week it depends on how it goes and how they bite. I'm not going to force anything. So you
Okay.
are going to be introduced on Thursday, excuse me, not next week, on Thursday. Um, but it may not be in the beginning of the session. So I want you to be
Okay.
prepared that you may have to sit through some role play for an hour or two before
That's
you
fun.
end up being brought in.
We
And we're
all
going
take our
to,
licks when we're joining a current campaign. I sat my Star Wars game that I've been part of for 5 years now with Brett. My very first 2 sessions I sat and listened, and it was the third session that I got introduced and brought into the game. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I
yeah.
will try not to do that to you, but my players like to go off in different directions and do different things. So we will
No
see how
worries.
it goes.
Well, can I get a little preparedness? Like, well, how are you planning on introducing him, and what do I need to be prepared for? What role am I
Hey,
need to be playing?
Pasta, are you listening at this point? Pasta. Okay, I think we're safe.
Okay.
So basically, what's going to happen is the group is going to be meeting with one of the council members of the city who's going to send them on a quest. And the way that that quest is phrased, they're going to be going to the Spirelane for advice.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to be telling them that she knows of someone from the city. Not that she knows you, but she's heard that you were raised or that you were a slave there. And she's going to send them your direction.
Okay. And I'm going to
Randolphinius,
be a source of information at beginning or not, or am I
your
going to be
potential
hired?
guide. Yeah, potential guide.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. And I need to be Randolphinius. Very proper. slightly English, but not too committed that I have to keep it going all the time.
I am looking forward to that accent. I'm gonna be so happy if you can pull off Sebastian for me. I will be thrilled.
I'm gonna try it. I've been practicing, but it's not my British is my hardest. So like Russian's my easiest. I can do others, but I love to do accents. That's one of my favorite parts about the game.
Yeah, the one today was absolutely wonderful. I wish I had that talent. I don't, and I'm sorry, but
Oh, it's good.
I feel like everyone in the game, no one really does accents, but everyone changes their voice a little bit. Like
Brett does accents. Don't let him fool you. He's done an
he
amazing
does.
dwarven Scottish accent. Like